lovely friends, good afternoon. Come and sit down with me and don't leave too soon. Thank you for stopping in, thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Hello there, my lovely friends. Good afternoon. Come and sit down with me and don't leave too soon. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try.
Well, good evening, everybody. I know that was an afternoon song, but we can play those in the evening, right?
For sure. We can play them all day. If you want to ask my 2 cents. It was relaxing. Well, thank you. We need the relaxation, you know?
I do. I was actually playing some Louis Armstrong while I was waiting for us to get going. And
my mom's favorite song of all time is What a Wonderful World from Louis Armstrong.
100%.
Yeah. That's so cool, huh? Yep. I actually found a song that was Over the Rainbow and What a Wonderful World combined. It was by this man that lived in Hawaii. And I had put the some videos together of Tylee and JJ to that song. You know, of course it's copyright, but it's sometimes you just have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm not feeling like YouTube songs. I'm feeling like this goes to this, you know?
Yep. You got to have that music for your soul.
Yes.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I noticed after my live stream earlier today that my eye is bloodshot. Like it's really bad. And I'm like, uh-oh, what is that? What causes that? So that's why I'm not on camera right now, because I feel like a Quasimodo. So, but other than that, it's pretty kosher. Just another day in the neighborhood.
So how are you dealing with the Lori hearing today?
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it yet. I don't know. It's aggravating. As far as like how, once again, I'm like peering at her and I'm saying in my head, like, are we really going this far again? And so I learned to not ask those rhetorical questions like, or like, this just couldn't get any worse. Could this get any worse? I don't do those kind of things because that's in fact inviting it to be even worse. Every time. So,
true that. True that.
We're here, and I mean, we're just basically pawns in her long game for sure.
Yeah, and you say that you use the word aggravating, and sometimes it feels like she's actually trying to aggravate people.
Mm-hmm.
But then I go back to, I think she's just a psychopathic narcissist that's completely self-centered, and she just wants to be in the spotlight.
And it goes with the territory. Yeah. It's like a continuation of their turning up the pain. Just like her and Chad, you know, Chad was like, you want me to turn up the pain? She's done it to Colby outright. She's done it on Dateline outright to I mean, of course we're going to be watching. She knows that, and then she's got her flying monkeys that go back and report to her. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't feed the monkeys. I don't.
Yeah. She
Not my
mentioned,
monkey circus.
did she mention in one of her hearings, or was it in one of her filings, that somebody in her family is reporting to her that or maybe it was the Dateline interview.
No,
Somebody in her family is reporting to her that somebody has a blog on her about every single day.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that was in Dateline, and it was in a court hearing too. Because she kind of stopped herself from saying it in her hearing. She was saying, I forget what it was exactly, and about her extradition. Remember how she wanted to know about her extradition, and the judge was like, "That has nothing to do with this," basically. So why are you asking about that? And she was just like, well, someone had shared with me. And then I'm like, it has to be a third party person. Like her mom is the only person that was really talking to her at, as far as I was aware. So I don't know who the someone would be unless it's her little stepdaughter. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I'm not going
interesting.
to say what I heard or what I didn't hear because I'm on the fringe, like the far, far fringe of that world. So I'm not even
Yeah.
going to speculate.
I know.
But it was an interesting comment by her.
Yep. I mean, woman, it's like my entire channel content is nothing but of you, like, do you not realize how huge your crimes, not traumatic events, they're traumatic events for everybody else. For her, they are not traumatic events. She causes them. There's a difference there. She says that the media turns her traumatic events into crimes. That was interesting.
Yeah.
No, they don't. You are high, and it's got to be more than just Jesus, okay? Sorry, something, I don't know what it is, and that's what I do. That's my entire existence on this channel, is just to dive and I've dived so deep into these things that, I mean, even when I'm just explaining them to everyone, I have to like tell myself, like, I'm not crazy. This is not my crazy. But then I also relate to my uncle, in the sense that he was trying to get help for his wife because she was off the deep end. She was nonsensical, just like he said. And I mean, in the body cam, which I was I was never expecting to see those. I didn't know that existed. And so through the course of the case unraveling, they published them because they were, FOIA requested, and I got to see my uncle, and I just saw his frustration. Like, he was at his wit's end because just explaining her crazy, but everybody is treating him as if he is crazy.
Not just everybody treating him like he's crazy. She makes you feel crazy.
Yeah. Yes.
She makes you doubt the reality of your logical thoughts and evaluation of the situation. And that's what he was going through when he called the cops, and we see that body cam. He's trying to figure out if he's the crazy one or she's the crazy one, and who's going to believe him and who's going to believe her. And they called her in and they did a psych evaluation, and the psych evaluation said, oh, she's fine. She's no danger to herself or anybody else. Oh, really?
Yeah. And Destroy, Gabe Bonilla is the bishop, and he was like, well, Destroy didn't really sound like, and the cop also, well, Destroy and murder are two different things. Well, I beg to differ. That they weren't speaking in Mormonese. Okay. That's how I look at it. You best take those things and not just throw them off to the side because they sound weird, or, you don't sit there and go to the, what do you call that? The letter of it, or the, oh my God, this is what they all do. Not the letter. It's kind of that same sentiment. The semantics is what I mean.
Oh, right.
Like,
right.
Semantics. Destroy. What does that mean to you? It's like, I don't know. Kill me. It also is weird that she's talking about Ned inhabiting his body, and Eplos, whatever it is, and Garrett, these three evil spirits. And I mean, come on now. It's so freaking batshit crazy, for a lack of a better term. I'm sorry, it is what it is, but it's so out there And it's made me even question my own, like, sanity, I wake up, I used to wake up in the beginning of this, and I would just think like, oh my God, zombies, not that I don't believe zombies are real, but we're dealing with zombies. Okay. Like, we're actually saying this word, it's being quoted. It's being used in court documents and news stories, zombies. And then I would kind of come to, and I'd be like, yep, that's what the hell we're dealing with. And that's so bizarre and just absurd. And every word.
And that was in one of their last text exchanges, where she calls him crazy, and he goes, "You're calling me crazy. You're the one that's telling me that my name is Ned and I'm somebody else." Like, he's
Yep. That's
the
it.
gaslighting, and I think we're going to see a whole bunch of gaslighting in the next couple of months. A whole bunch.
Unfortunately, the noble thing to do, and I say noble, and I say Lori Daybell very loosely in the same sentence, but just the right thing to do would be to just, you're already serving 3 life sentences in Idaho. Yeah, like, what is her deal? What is her big thing about just saying, I'm guilty? But that's the whole narcissist thing right there all over again. Having to say you're wrong. She won't do that at all.
Yeah, even the judge called her out on something today. Oh, it was the, I'm going to have to look at my notes.
It does, Salty.
It was when they were going over the Alex Cox hearsay, and one of her arguments was present sense impression.
Oh yeah.
And the judge said that means that whatever you said was in the middle of whatever was going on.
Right.
And those body cam videos were and Alex Cox was making these statements a long time after whatever went on. Well, a long time after he shot Charles, after he shot your Uncle Charles. So the body cam videos of him making statements was nowhere near present sense impression.
No, that was,
so he called her out on it, and she just goes, okay.
Yeah, because she would have had to. Because she would have had to have admitted that her and Alex texted each other twice during the whole thing, but between him shooting Charles and her leaving, and then him lying dead on the floor for 43 minutes, dead or about to be dead, and then she also went and purchased flip-flops and went to Burger King, dropped JJ off at school. Then she also went to Summer Shiflett, her sister. She went to her sister's husband's office. I think Tylee worked there too. He was a chiropractor. And so it just makes me wonder, like, what was she doing there? Why did she dump something there? Well, what was going on? She also had a text message to Alex the night before, or 2 nights before, whatever it was. Basically, like, this is war. She was waging war, which I looked up in the Mormon Doctrine book written by Bruce R. McConkie, and it is so fascinating to what it says, what waging war means. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is that. That is this. The spiritual battle.
That ties back to Jason Mao too, because Jason Mao was writing that Mormon fiction, but he directly relates that to the quote unquote war chapters of the Book of Mormon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh yeah. And it, I just ran across another woman she's an ex-Mormon just the other day. I haven't even had a chance to go fully listen to that video, but she's had run-ins with Ruby Franke with Jody Hildebrandt. And they're over there in North Carolina and stuff. And this other therapist, Maurice Harker, who's, not so, let's just say, some nefariousness, alleged nefariousness. And kind of along with this same clique and she was talking about war chapters. And I was like, oh my God, that is so fascinating. I want to know more. Then I fell asleep, and I've, been going since, but It's getting to be too much to keep track of, you know?
It is.
I mean, it's not
well,
just Lori and Chad's case, it's Tim Ballard, it is, the Hamblin case, it is, Jody and Ruby, and, I mean, I'm just like, "Okay, I can only handle so many facts in my head," you know? Julie Rowe, it's just it's all of them, and they all believe in past lives, they all believe in, people, not inhabiting their body anymore. They believe in, just the past life thing is really interesting, though. It's like a really interesting aspect of all these cases. How can they all believe they are somebody, and not just somebody, not just anybody, not some little peons. No, these people are like, who to know, you know? They're like, just well-known, uh, people in their past lives. And then how do they all abuse their children and or murder them? And what's going on? And why is this so why is it everywhere? Because it's not just Chad and Lori. It's not. And I believe this is what Glen Pace talked about. I do. I really, really, the more and more I make parallels and stuff between all of this, it just it never, you know, I mean, I know just from the history of the church and how they handle abuse and of children especially, and how how this memo was never supposed to reach public at all. It was just meant to stay internal within the church, but it was leaked back in the day. And when you read it, you're just like, okay, this sounds really crazy. And then there are those people that are like, that's not real. It's just QAnon, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, my nephew and Tylee were not QAnon, blah, blah, blah. They're not a freaking conspiracy. Okay. Do whatever you got to do over there to justify all these things. But the truth of the matter for me, my reality is that they're not here anymore. And that's the bottom, you know, there's no going below that. That's how the story ends, unfortunately. But so there's got to be something that I believe, like the Pace memo and him reporting the abuse that was happening in the church at that time was never addressed. It was never dealt with. It was swept under the rug because image is everything. It is all about image and nothing more, nothing more. I believe that's why we still today are seeing these same things happen, especially in this community. It's very bad. And
so when we
would raise people's, go ahead. I'm sorry.
When we left off of the memo last time, I was like, are we getting close to the end? And you're like,
we like to comment, Joe. We like to comment. That's okay.
I mean, it is.
I would rather, you know, comment like we're doing than to just read it and then not be able to pull out all the things that need to be pointed at. So
well, and we have like not opposing perspectives, but actually complementing perspectives, because you're somebody who is close to the family and you've done a shit ton of research, and I'm somebody who has done a little bit of research, like 1% of what you've done, and I'm also former LDS, so we've got perspectives.
I like that. I do.
That we can both bring into the discussion about the memo.
That's the most important thing, I think. And then everybody here, you know, it's either opening their eyes because they've never heard it before, or perhaps, you know, maybe. And I mean, I'm always open to criticism, constructive criticism. You know, just don't come in here with like attacking character. Okay. I'm just like, what does that have to do with anything? Or just things that don't really, it's not a good argument, or you know, because I've also researched opposing research, doctors who research into these things, and then I dig into their past a little bit and find out that maybe they're not working for the right, you know, some good people. That's all I'm saying. So And I mean, they come in, they do their damage, kind of like the False Memory Syndrome Foundation. They came in, they wreck shop, and have people believing that that it's just so out there, so outlandish, when a child remembers a memory that it can't be used in a court of law. And that's bullshit. Complete bullshit. So the people that started the False Memory Syndrome Foundation were accused in the same Hamblin circle, okay, of people that they were accused by their daughter of essaying and being part of this LDS Church of Satan. Okay. So it's like, okay, that's crazy. That's just so crazy. And so many people, myself included in the beginning, until I knew better, was of the opinion that, well, you can. I mean, don't quote me on this. I'm not saying all one way or all another. I'm just saying not in the way that they tried to spin it, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. So do we want to keep unpacking the memo? Like, do we have it in this?
And actually, I pulled up a better copy of it, so it's not just all crammed together. That was horrible. Let me see. It's right. Well, I mean, let me show them a picture of Bishop Glen Pace, so you'll know who we're talking about. And so, I mean, I had this right here on hand. This is Glen Pace. This, of course, is his obituary. But I mean, and it doesn't say much about it. It doesn't say he wrote the Glen Pace memo. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, he died. He was March 21st, 1940 to May 16, 2017. So he died in 2017. Our husband, father, brother, and grandfather passed away peacefully on May 16, 2017. He was in his bountiful home surrounded by his family who loved him deeply. Glenn was born in Provo, Utah on March 21, 1940 to Kenneth Leroy Pace and Elizabeth Ann Wild. He graduated from Provo High School and attended Brigham Young University until he served an LDS mission to the New England states. Shortly after his return, he married his childhood sweetheart, Jolene Clayson, in the Salt Lake Temple on June 7, 1963. And together they raised 6 children. Glenn graduated from BYU with a Master of Accountancy degree. So this is what his career. Okay. So he's not a counselor. He's not qualified in today's standards for sure, like to be doing this kind of like what he was
be interviewing people who have been traumatized.
Correct.
Deepest level of humanity.
He did a great job. I mean, he had a good way of describing it and explaining it, I believe, but we just got lucky.
He's a unicorn. I mean, the vast majority of LDS leadership who conduct counseling of some kind are in no way qualified. And
they're not paid, at least in the lower, just a regular bishop like Gabe Bonilla. He most likely wasn't paid. Like Rob Wood, he was most likely not paid. They're not paid positions. So I do feel for them in this aspect because they're just thrown into that calling. And they have to deal with all these people in their ward. They have to deal with all the stuff that comes with that. People confessing, people sharing these SA kind of things that happen to them. And then, it's like, do we have a good bishop where he's going to disregard what his leadership tells him to do and not call the police? Or is he going to call the police? And then I would apologize afterwards. I would just be like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. Just play dumb, because I mean, that's the whole reason for the LDS helpline.
Master of Accountancy. Is that like accounting, like fiscal accounting? I think
so. I mean, I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. Yeah. Certified public accountant. So that was his
master.
Job.
It's not the master of accountability though, but he tried.
He did. He's done the most by far, in my opinion, for real. Like I commend him a lot, It's the most I've ever seen done. And it was never supposed to hit our ears or eyes or our knowledge. It was never supposed to be leaked, but it was. I don't know why, but I'm glad. But he was successful in working for an international accounting firm and in real estate development. So right here it tells about his leadership in the church. He was called as a general authority of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on April 6, 1985. Wasn't that Joseph Smith's birthday? No, that was when the church
I think that was Jesus's birthday, actually.
Oh, well, no, Joseph Smith's birthday is the same as my daughter's. I just realized when I said that. But April 6th was something else too. Besides, I think, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go check. I'm gonna have to go check myself. And I'll have to come back on that one. But anyways, Glen served as second counselor in the presiding bishopric until his call to the first Quorum of the 70 on October 3rd, 1992. He served as the president of the North America, Northwest area, the Africa West area, Australia, Sydney, North Mission, and the North American Northeast area. That's very confusing. Glen worked for 9 years in the Welfare Services Department of the church. Well, that explains it, huh? Kind of. Including 4 years as managing director. Glen connected to people through his humor. He was observant, intuitive, insightful, and non-judgmental. As a genuine listener, he had a way of understanding our hearts. So I'm not going to really go further, well, that's interesting. Okay, so they're just retelling stories of Joseph Smith and such. But anyway, so I'll grab this link and then I'll share it in the chat. And whoever wants to go and finish this out, you're more than welcome to. I actually implore people to do their own research. Don't listen to me. Don't. I'm just here. I'm just here trying to make sense of some really crazy stuff that happened in my family. But let me pull the other one up. And here it is. It's ready to go. It's really hard to read like that. It looks a little blurry. But so this was page 1, of course. This is one of the originals. Let me back this down a little bit.
This looks like it was actually maybe produced on a typewriter or on an early Courier font. Maybe.
I mean, this is back in the late 80s, 89, right here, May 24th, 1989. Let me see. It won't let me highlight, but anywho. So I think we made it to the bottom of page 2. I think.
Oh my gosh.
So I think I remember putting a note on that last time, but I have since forgot. I'm just kind of reading to see. Yeah, we did. Everything is completely reversed. White is black. Black is white. Good is bad. Bad is good. Satan is going to rule during the millennium. Right. So children, this is the interesting part to me. This is the most eye-opening part. And even though we read it last week, I think it's just worth mentioning again. Children are put in a situation where they believe they are going to die, such as being buried alive or being placed in a plastic bag and immersed in water. Prior to doing so, the abuser tells the child to pray to Jesus to see if he will save her, meaning Jesus. Imagine a 7-year-old girl having been told that she is going to die, praying to Jesus to save her, and nothing happens. Then, at the last moment, she is rescued, but the person saving her is a representative of Satan. He uses this experience to convince her that the only person who really cares about her is Satan. She is Satan's child, and she might as well become loyal to him. That, it gives me chills. Because it's so jacked up. I can't imagine this. I can't imagine doing this to my children. But it makes sense in the lot of things, It makes sense as to what I think is going on in these cases. This logic, this kind of belief system. It's totally inverted, turned on his head. You have anything to say? Because if not, I'm going to keep on scrolling.
You can keep on going. I think there's like a term for it, like this type of psychological.
It's a hornet's nest. I'm kidding.
Abuse, psychological abuse manipulation. There's got to be a term for it. It's just, I mean, besides depraved and disgusting.
This is the satanic aspect of it, I believe. This is where, a lot of people are like, it's never been proven because they don't appear to be worshiping Satan. Instead of asking for Satan to inhabit their body, they're asking to be cast out. So that was like Lynn Packer's, that was his logic behind it. But my thing is, they are worshiping and calling Satan Jesus. Okay. That's what's going on here. It's like, how in LDS, a lot of the definitions are changed. They're different. It's kind of like that. Just like that.
Reinterpreted.
Yeah. Because the Bible wasn't right. So the narcissist, Joseph Smith, in my opinion, changed it. So it was right in his mind. Right. You know what I'm saying? But that same attitude, that same, like just what you said. Anyways.
Well, right. that's the very foundation of the Mormon religion, LDS, whatever you want to call it. He claims that Jesus appeared to him. Where have we heard that before? And said, none of these churches are true.
Right.
I'm going to use you to establish the one true religion on this earth. That's the foundation of the church.
You're going to have to reiterate that for like hundreds or like what? How many years have they been of religion? Almost 200 or around 200?
1830 something, 1832 maybe.
Right. So what have you had to say? And what do a lot of people have to say? The church is true. The prophet is true. I mean, it's very beat in, like it's very indoctrinated. Sorry, I had to take a sip. I had to wet my whistle. Okay. Back to that because I jumped over there with you guys. Okay. I'm just going to start here. Okay. And we're at page 4. But I think we've already passed all this. So let me continue. Let me try and not go back over the same things. However, they told me the position. Okay. I'll start here. I go, let's see. No. I'm sorry to say that many of the victims have had their first flashbacks while attending the temple for the first time. The occult along the Wasatch Front uses the doctrine of the church. This is interesting to me. Uses the doctrine of the church to their advantage. Dude, this brings up Julie Rowe for me. For anybody who follows the case, who knows about Julie Rowe and what that's all about, that's, in my opinion, what has been done, especially in Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, that case. For sure, it's got to be happening over there in Ruby Frankieville. Jody Hildebrandt. And I mean, it just seems to go right because, and Tim Ballard too, because they all talk about, it's like, you don't really know the member doesn't really know because it's not different. But then it's like, well, here's these new doctrines you ain't heard about, girl. Come over here. And they're in the corner, talking about the mysteries of God. Okay. And that's why Melanie Gibb is like, go ahead.
The secret documents is how the Book of Mormon started. Joseph Smith said, I found these golden plates buried in the hillside where the angel Moroni showed me where they're at. And I'm going to go back and I'm the only one that can look at them. And I'm going to look inside here and I'm going to interpret them and you're going to write it down.
And it was always conditional too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you have to not bring these people, but bring these people, or you have to, didn't he have to go visit his brother's grave?
I don't remember
and
that
he
part.
Rob the grave or something. I mean, that's just what's kind of out there. I don't know if there's truth to that, but again, it tracks with the rest of the story and with what we're seeing now today.
Yeah, well, seer stones were involved in that interpretation of that.
So was, being a water, when you have the oh my gosh, I just went blank. Those whenever you're trying to find water, the little sticks or whatever. Oh my God. What are they called? Salty would probably know. Divining rods. I think that's what they're called.
Yep.
Okay, so that is also, you could, put that under the same thing of as used in pendulums, seer stones, scrying. Janet Russin is a scryer, allegedly. In Tim Ballard's case, she's actually Janet Russin in Tim Ballard, OUR. That whole story. She was used by the Apostle M. Russell Ballard, and she was, kind of sent to Tim Ballard to help him in his missions to quote unquote rescue children, right, who were being trafficked. Well, turns out, Vice News reported on this, that Janet Russin was actually, a psychic, and that's what Tim was using to provide him with intel. And this started with the Gardy Marty case, the little boy that was missing, where Tim Ballard allegedly told M. Russell Ballard to have a camera crew there because they were going to rescue the little boy. Well, they never have. Not one time. Not one damn time. And this is in Haiti. And
so he believed that based on what a psychic was telling him?
That's the story.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And I mean, this is coming from people who used to work for Tim, not just the women who are accusing him of using the couple's ruse, which is the tactic, the same thing that Chad told Lori. I think we were married before in a past life. It's the same thing. It's to justify whatever the hell they're going to do.
I don't know if I would want to engage in a relationship with a woman who would believe that line.
Exactly. And anybody in here, if you ever hear it, you run for the hills while you're calling 911 at the same time. Okay. Run and don't stop until you get help, because and it's not just Tim. It's not just Chad. It's also Julie Rowe that used this pickup line. It's also, who else? I don't want to stop there, but it just goes. The fact that it exists is disgusting and weird. It's really weird, and it's very unique. And so, researching these cases while my family's case was unraveling, I was like, wait, what? No. Okay. I mean, one time, okay, but not twice, not 3 times, not more than that. That's no longer a coincidence. Okay. And it just becomes like, what's really going on what's going on here? And I don't know what's happening. Can I look behind the curtain, please? Or the veil, whatever they want to call it.
I was getting ready to say that.
Gird up your loins, Joe. Gird up your loins.
We got to get some merch. We got to get some Gird Up Your Loins merch.
I've been working on Lori being the Lord's favorite. Okay. I'm making those bumper stickers happen.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my.
I'd actually already had that on some potential merch. And so when we watched that, me and my mods, we watched, privately, we watched the Dateline episode. And as soon as they said that, I told Donna, I was like, oh my God, I've made this stuff already. Look, this is the Lord's favorite. And I was like, oh my God. But that's the same thing that Lori told Kelsey back in the day. Kelsey said in the Netflix document, that Lori had told her, Jesus loves you, but he loves me more. And I was like, oh my God, that is so hideous. And that's just gross. And then for her to say that, in Dateline, I was like, wow, it does exist. Poor Kelsey. I mean, that's what we're dealing with, is this hyper religious, worshiping the wrong Jesus. Let me just say that. And thinking that she did something good, and she has not woke up from that yet. And it always brings me back to center, where she's on the phone in that recorded phone call between her and Melanie Gibb. And she says, I will not deny it. For if I did, my soul would be, in jeopardy or whatever. I don't know that part. I forgot all of a sudden. My soul would be at stake. And I'm like, it is. And you did. And so that's why you got to cling to that belief, is because if you don't, your soul will be at stake, sister. You might want to wake up. It's so sad to watch. It really is. It makes it even more gross. Anyways, So, for example, okay, let's see right here. The occult along the Wasatch Front uses the doctrine of the church to their advantage. For example, the verbiage and gestures are used in a ritualistic ceremony in a very debased and often bloody manner. When the victim goes to the temple and hears the exact words, horrible memories are triggered. We have recently been disturbed with members of the church who have talked about the temple ceremony. Compared to what is happening in the occult along the Wasatch Front, these are very minor infractions. The perpetrators are also living a dual life. Many are temple recommend holders. This leads to another reason why the church needs to consider the seriousness of these problems. In effect, the church is being used. And
you should reread that part. And everybody, while she's rereading this, keep in mind Lori and Chad. And Lori and Chad were temple recommend holders, and so was Jason now. And
Heather Daybell testified to the fact that Chad was occupying the meeting house, the church meeting house, because he held a calling in the church. So he was able to get into the meeting house right there, 2.6 miles down from their house, where Alex would go and hide out comfortably as an excommunicated member of the church. He was just hanging out, waiting for, Chad to caca and for him to take off and go help him murder people. Maybe, allegedly. I don't know. I wasn't there like Lori. I wasn't there like she likes to say she was. But just the fact of Chad being at the meeting house, and I've heard rumors before, cannot corroborate this unless Ian Pawlowski comes forward and says anything different. I know Chad's not going to. But there were, it was a rumor that Chad and Ian, who knew each other before, were sacrificing cats in the temple. Not in the temple, in the church. So for what it's worth, I mean, there's that. Joe Murray also testified to the fact that his father-in-law would spend time there. But anyways, so yeah, keep them in mind and keep that in mind about Heather testifying about Chad being there. I'm sorry to say that many of the victims have had their first flashbacks while attending the temple for the first time. The occult along the Wasatch Front uses the doctrine of the church to their advantage. For example, the verbiage and gestures are used in a ritualistic ceremony in a very debased and often bloody manner. When the victim goes to the temple and hears the exact words, horrible memories are triggered. We have recently been disturbed with members of the church who have talked about the temple ceremony. Compared to what is compared to what is happening in the occult. Am I reading that over again? Along the Wasatch Front, these are very minor infractions. The perpetrators are also living a dual life. Many
living
are
a dual life. That was where I wanted you to start, living a dual life.
Oh, okay, my bad. Well,
no, you're fine.
So think about this aspect, that according to the LDS Church of Satan, their requirement is that you hold a dual membership in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as well as the LDS Church of Satan. So there's that part. The perpetrators are also living a dual life. Many are temple recommend holders. This leads to another reason why the church needs to consider the seriousness of these problems. Church, listen. In effect, the church is being used. I go out of my way to not let the victims give me the names of the perpetrators. I have told them that my responsibility is to help them with spiritual healing, and that the names of perpetrators should be given to therapists and law enforcement officers. However, they have told me the positions in the church of members who are perpetrators. Among others, there are young women leaders, young men leaders, bishops, a patriarch, a stake president, temple workers. Tom Harrison's a temple worker, and members of the Tabernacle Choir. David Levitt was a member of the Tabernacle Choir.
Okay, so that last part that he read is one of the biggest parts of this memo to me. And as amazing of a job as he did, he just said, I don't want to know anybody's names. You need to take those names to law enforcement or to a therapist or whatever. I don't know the word he used.
let's take the Hamlin.
But clergy is responsible to report this to law enforcement too.
Exactly.
Are they not?
Mandatory reporters, yet here we are still fighting it today. Today, because it's never being dealt with.
As much as he did good in this memo, I'm sorry, dude, but you heard stuff that should have been reported to law enforcement.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, I mean, that's true. That is so true. So, okay, it's going to go on. The accusations. Okay, this is interesting too. These accusations are not coming from individuals who think they recognize someone, but from but from those who have been abused by people they know. In many cases, their own family members. And I was like, oh my God, this is freaking Lori. This is freaking Chad. This is what we're doing here. This is Ruby, Jody, all the people. This is all the people. Hamlin for sure. Whatever the form of abuse, our main concern is for the victims. Is it? But there are legal ramifications. Yes. We are disturbed to receive reports that a scoutmaster has abused the boys in his troop. Chad was in Boy Scouts as well. It is not difficult to imagine what would happen if we learn that a bishop or stake president has participated in the abominations of ritualistic child abuse. Not only do some of the perpetrators represent a cross-section of the Mormon culture, but sometimes the abuse has taken place in our own meeting houses. I mean, boom, psh. We can end there because that's enough for me. Oh my God. I don't pretend to know how prevalent the problem is. All I know is that I have met with 60 victims, assuming each, this is freaking alarming right here. Now, I mean, he is an accountant and he knows his way around numbers. Okay. So I know it's still a guesstimate, but I'm going to hold on to it because he's the only one that looked into the situation. Okay. Assuming each one comes from a coven, which is an interesting word, of 13, we are talking about the involvement of 800 or so right here on the Wasatch Front. Okay. I just want to sit with that for a second. 800 or so.
Is this the first time that coven has come up in the memo?
Yeah. Yeah. So why is he calling it a coven? Is it because there's witchcraft going on here? Not the
number
good
13 is not.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that. Or I think I say it wrong. Some people say coven, some people say coven. I don't know what to say. Except, oh my God, And this was back in the late 80s, and we know that it hasn't been dealt with. And if so, it hasn't been dealt with in the right way. So how many are there? And I don't even want to ask that question. It's one of those rhetorical questions I don't want to know because I would probably fall out if I really knew, if there was really an answer to how many of these practicing Satanists there are just on the Wasatch Front. And right now, yeah, I'm just, woof. Obviously, I have only seen those coming forth to get help. They are in their 20s and 30s for the most part. I can only assume that it is expanding geometrically, and am horrified the numbers represented by the generation who are now children and teenagers. Ruby, Chad, Jody, Lori, and so on. Another reason for concern is that there are several doctrinal issues, multiple moral probations, first and foremost, that need to be resolved. The church and society in general are very skeptical as to whether the occult and its activities do exist. I'm here to tell you that they do. I'm here to testify that they do. There is
Preach it.
Oh, right. I know. Because they are doing it. There is no first presidency statement relative to some of the doctrinal issues. When they still don't say anything, they still just let these people go unchecked. That is so troubling. There's so many troubling things in this memo that I see. So, I mean, I know, I hope you guys see that too. I hope you can see where it's not just some man, who worked for the church or was in the church and he just is punching out a bunch of things here because it's fun. I mean, I'm tying them in real life to real life stories that are playing out in present day. And the reason why I believe my family was murdered, and it's just shoved up under the rug. If it could, if we weren't LDS, if my parents and any of Charles's side of the family weren't LDS, how much of that would have been kept in? Can you imagine? And I'm just saying that because everybody except for Megan, is on the Cox side for sure, is just everything's fine. There's nothing. No, I don't know why Lori and Alex were like this. So crazy. No, ma'am. Anyways, so it goes on to say another reason. Okay, I already said that. The church, and I already said that too. Okay, there's no first presidency statement relative to some of the doctrinal issues. What does a priesthood leader tell individuals who come forward and say that they have participated in these rituals, which may include human sacrifice? Okay, I mean, that's just crazy to me. It's so out there. Should they have a temple recommend? Will they ever be forgiven? There are questions regarding free agency and accountability. Is a person who has been raised in an occult from infancy accountable for things that take place in a dissociated state, even though those acts were committed after the age of 8? This whole dissociated thing too is alarming because MK Ultra, because of the dissociation that happens. I mean, I dissociate listening to them wane on and on and on about these, just Mormonism and their doctrines. They'll be talking about Joseph Smith and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I zone out. And I mean, I've heard of people going to actual church service and the way the men talk, the way the women talk. That's why we even experience, and hear that from all these people. It's like the women are never allowed to talk because it's such a patriarchal religion. And so they get up there and they're like, me. And they're really soft spoken, but you're like, okay. I mean, picture Ruby Frankie being like, me, but then yelling at her kids. It's like, what the hell? I don't know. I don't have the
age of 8 thing is kind of odd to me too. Like, do we know any other religion that just sets an age level that says at the age of 8 you now know right from wrong? You didn't know right from wrong before, and now you do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that
it's an individual basis. It's an individual basis. Like some
how they
people
were raised.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And I was raised in the Mormon church, and I honestly do not remember at the age of 8 when I was baptized into the Mormon church, do not remember being able to say, okay, this is right or this is not right. It's just this is what I'm supposed to do. I was indoctrinated. It's like, okay, at the age of 8 you get baptized, and if you get and they interview you, like you get called into the bishop's office and he interviews you and he says, do you understand that this decision that you're making is either right or wrong? Do you understand that? Like, and you're going to say no.
You're going to say yes because you're taught to say yes.
Exactly.
I mean,
no, exactly.
That is disturbing. That really is. I mean, I look at my entire childhood all the way up till 18 and then some as learning right from wrong. Like, I don't know. There's no right age. It's not written in the damn book. Okay. Allegedly. I don't know. I didn't see it. That's interesting. And then to tell a child who just turned 8 that that's such a huge responsibility. And it's also got to be very useful in shaming them and getting them to do things on that basis, like.
Well, at that point in time, if you ever leave the church, you're going to outer darkness.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yep.
At the age of 9, at the age of 10, you're like, I don't want to be a Mormon anymore.
Outer darkness. Because you've received the gospel in its truest form, and then now you've turned your back on it and you're an apostate. all the ex-Mormons are, you know, and I'm like, I will high five you because I'll be there too. You know, I mean, it's way cooler in the outer darkness, in my opinion. All right. So it says, I've said all that. It is a person who has been, so that I have formed my own opinions to these questions and have done the best I can. However, I don't have the mantle, which means he's not the prophet. Okay. He don't have the stature to make these doctrinal and policy decisions. I have relied on the mantle of a bishop so he's saying I'm a bishop regarding discernment and being a common judge. That's all it takes to be a bishop anyways. The few priesthood leaders who have had to face these issues are crying out for help because they don't want to give their own opinions, and yet there's no place to go for an answer. A bishop will go to his stake president. It's like the chain of command, okay? Who says he doesn't believe it? Who says he doesn't believe it is happening and that the member is just crazy, right? The stake president might go to an area presidency who will react in a similar way. Most people are afraid to surface it to the first presidency for fear of getting the same reaction and don't want to appear crazy themselves for asking the question. These are just people on how to deal with it. Much less, again, I see my uncle, you know, being looked at like he was crazy when raising the question, you know. I hope you will excuse me if I am being presumptuous, but I am concluding this paper with scriptures I feel support my belief that these activities are real and cannot be ignored. Now, these are interesting, and I did not include this in my video of Bishop Glen Pace's memo because it was really hard to speak. Okay, and I needed to get it out. So I got the most.
Do you want me to? Do you want me to read it?
It would help.
Where are you starting at?
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna give it to you, and that way you can share it. You want to do that, maybe? Or and that way you can scroll and roll. I don't know.
I can.
I put it in the regular chat, so I don't know if you want to grab it from there. I can't do it back. You know, private. Oh yeah, I can. We do have private chat.
Oh crap!
Hello.
No, that was
here. I put it in private chat too. But that way, because I know the other
there we go.
I scrolled and I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that because you were reading from it.
Download
Thank
PDF.
You, Forrest.
It's going to take us a minute. Everybody just kind of like
subscribe, hit the like button, and share if you can. It all helps the channel and directs others to the stream. Thank you very much, says Forrest. We appreciate you. I put it right here, Salty, in the chat. All you gotta do is click the link and it'll bring you right to it. And so I did it again. I mean, I can't email you, but
hold on. Yeah, I'll get there. Do you want me to set up a free trial? And I'm like, what?
Okay.
Why do I need to set up a free trial?
My bad. Okay. I didn't mean to throw a kink in it. We can just do it this way.
Oh no, I got it.
Okay.
I must have clicked on a bad button. Here we go.
Oh, I always click.
All right. What page are we on?
We are on page 6, where it starts with the scripture. So I'm gonna stop my screen and then be like, "Hey, y'all." Hey, Carolina.
Okay.
Okay. Good, Salty.
I'm concluding this paper with scriptures I feel. Okay. So let me unshare yours. Which means I got to go back to present, share screen.
And thank y'all for subscribing to Joe. You know, I mean, I really urge everybody from my community for sure. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you too. Getting some momentum. I'll get up to 1,000 someday.
It'll be quick. Okay, cool. Right. Salty's going to put it in her Discord.
Hope you will excuse me if I'm being presumptuous, but I'm concluding this paper with scriptures I feel support my belief that these activities are real and cannot be ignored. The things I have been writing about go back to Cain and Abel, So that's
always
biblical.
keep Lori and Chad. Just that's all I ask for this whole. Anytime I'm around, keep them in mind with what is being said here. And secret
And
combination.
Satan said unto Cain, swear unto me by thy throat, and if thou tell it, thou shalt die. And swear thy brethren by their heads and by the living God that they tell it not, for if they tell it, they shall surely die. Is this from a biblical verse?
It's something used by mine. I don't know. I don't know what biblical verse.
This that thy father may not know it. And this, okay, yes, it is. Okay, I remember this actually, this getting into this part. And this day I will deliver thy brother Abel into thine hands. Yes, this is biblical, like from one of the first books in the Bible.
Oh,
don't
King
ask
James
me.
Version probably, because that's the one that Joseph Smith. Yeah.
Yes. And Satan sware unto Cain. Oh yeah, the Mormons like tell you don't like get the New King James Version, don't get any other version. You got to go back to the original King James.
They will actually say as long as it's translated correctly.
They probably evolved a little bit. They evolve on a few of their opinions about stuff.
I hope so. I hope.
Satan sware unto Cain that he would do according to his commands. And all these things were done in secret. And Cain said, truly I am Mahan, the master of this great secret, that I may murder and get gain. Wherefore Cain was called Master Mahan, and he glorified in his wickedness. Moses 5:29-31. All of the experiences I have heard about have to do with secrecy, swearing not to tell, murdering to get gain and power. Wherefore Lamech, being angry, slew him, not like unto Cain his brother Abel, for the sake of getting gain, but he slew him for the oath's sake. For from the days of Cain there was a secret combination, and their works were in the dark, and they knew every man his brother. Moses 5:50-51.
Right there, I want to just point out the fact that they're talking about an oath. Okay. And with all the research I've been doing, it's into Freemasonry. It's brought me everywhere. It's literally brought me every freaking where. And I mean, I know there's oaths made in the temple, which I believe those are not good. By other accounts, anyways, it's just interesting to me because what I seem to think this is it's like the church's way of scaring their people or warning their people, whatever you want to call it. And it's the same thing that you see with Lori and Chad and Tim and others where they're using the same kind of doctrines, like, oh my God, these are secret combinations. And Brandon Boudreaux is a Gadiant robber. He was one of Hitler's, whatever. I'm actually looking that up right now so I can share it. But it seems like the things that they are warning people about or accusing people of is exactly what they're doing. Projection is so pervasive in all this in what they're doing. And so I look at it like, okay, they're just trying to scare people about these things, but yet they're actually about these things, if that makes sense. It's so hard to put into words.
Yeah, I can remember growing up in the church that it was a bad thing to swear an oath. Yeah. Swear ye not an oath is in some scripture somewhere. I remember that from whenever I was in Sunday school or seminary or whatever. Swear ye not an oath.
Another thing. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were finished.
No. Go ahead.
Mm-mm. I just wanted to tell you about Tammy and Chad.
Well, that's what we're talking about. So,
okay. Well, Tammy and Chad were sealed in a temple, and their anniversary would have just passed. It was March 9th, 1990. And so that part of the temple ceremony was not taken out with the oaths and slitting the throat and all that stuff. It wasn't taken out until 91. I'm just showing the fact that they got married in a Manti temple, and that when Chad and Tammy would have gone through it, he would have been part of the old school. Okay. Just sharing that. I'm allegedly one.
So sick.
It is.
For from the days of Cain, there was a secret combination, which we were also warned against, and their works were in the dark. Yep. This does sound like a lot of secret societies, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And they knew every man his brother. Then in Moses 6:15, we learn that as people began to fill the earth, so did these secret works. And the children of men were numerous upon all the face of the land. And in those days, Satan had great dominion among men and raged in their hearts. And from thenceforth came wars and bloodshed, and a man's hand was against his own brother in administering death. Oh, my.
Mm-hmm. Resonates.
A man's hand was against his own brother in administering death because of secret works seeking for power.
Money, power, sex. That's what this case is about. It starts to resonate, especially when you read it out loud yourself, because it's like you taste the words coming off your lips and you're like, wow.
Yeah, I
don't know if it's just me and just because I'm so close, and maybe that's why, or if there's something there, and or both. Two things can be true.
No more remote viewing. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
That'll keep us doing more difficult research.
Oh, right. They put the cult in the difficult research. That was the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Book of Mormon is replete with descriptions of these secret murderous combinations. Oh, wow. Okay, so we just went from the Bible. So is the Book of Moses, is that the Bible?
I don't. You know what?
Or is that Doctrine and Covenants? I don't remember a Book of
Covenants.
Yeah,
it's got to be. But all I'm saying is, when I've read anything to do with the Book of Mormon in the going to the actual Book of Mormon, I don't see anything written in red. So that's telling.
Yeah. This is Doctrine and Covenants. There's no Book of Moses in the Bible. Wow. So when you're indoctrinated in the Mormon Church as a very young child, as I was, the scriptures meld together and you're like, you mix up like the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price, and the Holy Bible, King James Version.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's Doctrine and Covenants. That's not biblical.
There's 4 different books that Mormons carry, and it's the Book of Mormon, the Pearl of Great Price, the Word of Wisdom, and the King James Version of the Bible. But a lot of Mormons and ex-Mormons that I've spoken with, they've said that the Bible was never really, it's not prized as much as, or accessed as much as the actual Book of Mormon. So I think that's interesting as well.
When you go through, so when you're a high school student, you're supposed to, and I did go through 4 years of seminary.
Lori did too.
And
that's crazy.
Seminary is 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. So you study each one of those in each of those years. And you switch between the 4 of them. So you do get Holy Bible teaching for an entire year.
All right. That's interesting. I'm glad you told me that. Yeah.
Yeah. But there are things that you're taught about that are the LDS interpretation of the Holy Bible. They say, well, you need to interpret this in this light, and you need to read this in this light. But you do get a whole full year of it.
which is probably why Melanie Gibb, she mentioned in one of her police interviews with Chandler, I think it was, that actually I'll pull that clip up while you're talking in a minute, but she, at the very end of it, she says that she looked up the church of she called it the doctrine of devils, is what she called it, and that these are secret combinations that Chad and Lori were part of, and obviously, okay, so it's just interesting because she's like, I looked it up, the definition, so that is something that they do a lot, it seems, or they have in this case for sure. People in this case,
yeah, I mean that's all cults, all offshoot religions are gonna like tell you to reinterpret things that are mainstream religion, and honestly some of that's maybe not bad, because quote unquote mainstream religion isn't necessarily doing everything 100% right, but I mean, these words in this memo right here we're about to read by what was his position? What did his obituary say about him, about what he was appointed to?
Let's see. It was
one of the higher ups in the church.
Yeah, in like the 70s, I say, called as a general authority of the Church of Jesus Christ of
Yes,
Latter-day
a general authority. This is from the general authority of the Mormon Church. That's like one of the highest positions you can achieve.
Right. This is the same as M. Russell Ballard. I mean, he was a president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. So like Glenn served as second counselor in the presiding bishopric until his call to the first Quorum of the 70 on October 3rd, 92. And then, I mean, so 70s is still, they don't have it anymore, but it's still up there.
He's a general apostle. Think about in biblical terms what an apostle is or was in Jesus's time. This is a general apostle who is getting ready to say this. My eyes like went through the next few phrases, paragraphs, scriptures, and I'm like, verses. The Book of Mormon is replete. That's a word that's some people might need interpreted. Replete, abundant with descriptions of these secret murderous combinations. So he is putting this in a memo that he's done research, and the Book of Mormon is full of descriptions of secret murderous combinations, as well as prophecies that they will always be with us. Go ahead.
I want to interject here and let you guys know that that's interesting, because the aspect of Gordon Bowen is alleged to be in the LDS Church of Satan and is alleged to be the Punisher in the Church of Satan. I don't know if I just said that, but so what he believes his mission is, so Gordon Bowen believes his mission allegedly is to learn everything about secret combinations. Now, this is the guy who designed, the church hired to design the church logo that stands today. Jesus, but yet he's alleged by the Hamblin daughters as being this Punisher who, I want to share that too. I can share the little spot that Goel talks about that the daughters wrote in their victim statements. And I just want y'all to see how this kind of ties into that too. It's very specific to say the least. But so his mission, just like Lori's mission, hers is, I guess, to rid the world of zombies. We still have to guess at all that. And yet here is Gordon Bowen, who his mission is to learn about secret combinations. Okay. And then to have accusations against him like that. I have that pulled up if you want me to share it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just so they can see some video of what we're talking about and what that might look like. And so this is We Are the People podcast, Shadows of Power, how Utah's elite maintain power while holding, oh my God, I can't read, while hiding in plain sight. So this is Goel. This is whose work I follow on Substack, and he got a YouTube channel after that. He's the one who is researching into to David Hamblin. Okay, and I also contacted him or left him a message in Substack, and we ended up talking, and his main concern about Chad was the fact that he was a gravedigger, and that there are accounts in the Hamblin statements, which I'll leave all that here with you, of them reveling and having ceremonies and rituals and stuff in the graveyards. And I mean, even Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt had a little R picking up trash barefoot in a graveyard and was ran off by by somebody, because and she was so offended by it too. Oh my God, All right, so I'm gonna turn the closed caption on too. And earmuffs, trigger warning. I'm just saying it's rough, very rough. So hold on, buckle up.
So Bowen allegedly retained David Lee Hamlin's services to exorcise the feminine spirits he believed were causing his homosexuality. He also used Hamlin to try and convince his estranged wife's son that God would be angry with Barbara Timothy if she followed through on her plans to divorce Gordon. Bowen and Hamlin attempted to convince Barbara Timothy's son that his mother was off her rocker. Barbara Timothy's son swore an affidavit detailing these accusations. Again, these allegations are sworn out under penalty of perjury. So he put himself on the line that he could be punished for perjury if these allegations were proven to be untrue, or if he ever recanted or admitted that, I was lying. So this is the section that Lynn Packer did on the exorcisms.
Attempted to convert himself from gay to straight during the marriage. He believed his homosexuality was caused by evil spirits or female spirits that inhabited his body. He sought to have those spirits cast out by self-proclaimed exorcists David Hamblin, Melvin Fish, and Kissy Watkins. Hamblin is the one arrested this past September. Fish and Watkins are deceased. Hamblin divorced in 2003. During the trial, he was accused of experimenting with his children using peyote and hypnotism. 2 of 4 daughters testified he sexually abused them. Trial judge Stephen Hansen found that during the period between 1991 and 1999, petitioner taught each of his minor children and respondent, that's his wife, about his parts theories, and used his minor children as guinea pigs or experiments by conducting psychological therapy with his minor children, including, among other things, the use of hypnosis and giving them priesthood blessings.
Priesthood blessings.
Petitioner gave each of them, including, and I've redacted out the daughter's name, peyote, on at least one occasion. One daughter became violently ill as a result of using peyote, and another became dizzy and hallucinated. Kissy Watkins attended BYU and the University of Utah. She was a returned Mormon missionary. She worked with David Hamblin. She engaged in quackery, practicing Christ-centered healing and cranial osteopathy and foot zoning.
Foot zoning.
Dr. Melvin Fish wrote the book, Healing the Inner Self. I interviewed him prior to his passing. Gordon told me he was gay and needed help.
Jody.
Fish performed a kinesiology test and found Bowen possessed by 2 or 3 malicious female spirits who made Bowen 90% gay.
I'm just saying, the 90%, this was said by Melanie Pulowski, Lori's niece, about Brandon. She went into the temple. She had a vision that Brandon was gay 100%. She said this, it went straight to 100 on the G meter, the gay meter. I'm not making this shit up. I wish I was. I really do, because it sounds ridiculous. But this kinesiology test right here, which is muscle testing, and or what I was saying earlier in my live stream about M. Russell Ballard, he was behind, he had financially invested in what is used by Scientologists today on the cans or whatever they call it to whatever, see if they're a repressed person or whatever. Don't really know all that stuff, but it's the same machine. It's the same machine that the apostle and the church freaking invested in. And to measure, I mean, I'm just saying this kinesiology thing is basically what they're kind of doing. Chad Daybell and Tammy Daybell and Zelema Pastenes and Julie Rowe all went through this course designed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, the body code and the emotion code. And I mean, again, Chad and Tammy were allegedly not casting out, but they were talking about a little boy at church, and they Chad, I think it was Chad, dubbed him as a 4.2 dark. So this was going on even before Lori and Chad. But that's interesting, right? And then this whole exorcism stuff is what we see today with Lori and Chad casting out spirits, da-da-da. It's so
if the spirits of the original people get kicked out of their bodies, are they getting kicked out by these people doing exorcisms and saying
by demons?
Okay,
or, well,
so demons enter their bodies and kick out their spirits. Their spirits go to the spirit world.
They're no longer there.
They have to
kill the body.
Well, the exorcism isn't an exorcism to remove an evil spirit out of a body.
Allegedly. I don't know what they're doing. That's what I'm saying. Something's amiss here. Okay. Something is amiss here. I mean, first off, let's talk about just casting out or exorcisms, that they were mainly performed by priests in Catholicism. Now I'm no expert here, but I mean, as far as I knew in the very beginning of my research, I found out that Mormons didn't really even believe in this kind of stuff. So to have this whole section of Mormons who are doing this kind of stuff is very odd. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just sharing my experience, but casting out, exorcising. I mean, Mike Stroud does this. This is very prevalent in this group. Again, I don't know if this is a mainstream practice, but I'm telling you, it's becoming one.
It wasn't for me growing up in the Midwest LDS church. Exorcism was like a fantasy horror movie type of thing.
Yeah. That's kind of what I gathered from all that too. So it's like, okay, what's going on with this infestation of this kind of belief? Where's this coming from? And so you just keep following these people until, I mean, really, the LDS Church of Satan, they believe that Oliver Cowdery, which is one of the founding, he was way in the early part of the founding of the church, that they worship him because, and they say that they're related to him as well. They call up a lot of spirits, ancestors and stuff. Which, I mean, Chad Daybell, read any of his books and you'll find that all day, every day. But, I mean, so what are we supposed to believe from this? I know some people don't believe in this kind of stuff, but I mean, there's part of me that is like, well, what's really going on here? Because the person that used to resemble my aunt she was no longer like inhabiting her body. And I mean, lack for a better term. Like I look at her and Chad like they're the zombies that they were projecting onto their victims. Like I feel like somebody still hijacked her body. I don't know where she's at. She's gone. So it's just like, what's going on here? What are they conjuring up? Literally.
Well, who hijacked Jesus's body? The one that's appearing to her in prison or jail.
Okay, because I mean that is probably his alleged brother, like they think in LDS. In the LDS religion.
His older brother, right?
Yeah. The firstborn, the church of the firstborn. Think about it. I mean, this is this whole Cain and Abel thing too. It's so weird. And I say weird, again, lack for a better term. I'm not a person of the best terms. Okay. But I'm trying to do the best I can without, I wasn't raised this way. Not casting judgment. I don't know what else to say, and I just need help in this sense. But I mean, so that right there is just really interesting. Then you think about Jody Hildebrandt, who was so plagued, right? If y'all watched the Hulu special of Jody, and when she was going into possession, if you listen to Kevin Frankie's interview with the police, it's the audio one only, and he talk about how Jody is going into possession and that she's Satan's bride. And I'm like, what the hell is this? What is this? Sorry. My damn throat. I'm typing this in right now to see if I can pull up that one section because it's so interesting to me. I pulled it up. Let me find the right spot. I don't want to hold us up too much, but let's see. Control F and possession, maybe? Yeah. Nope. Let's see. Possession. Nope. Okay. Satan. Oh.
So are you trying to find a spot in this video, or are you trying to look
I'm
for
trying to find
another
a spot
document?
in another video, which I mean,
Okay.
let me let this one play while that one.
Yeah,
while
that's
I
a
look
good
this one
idea.
up. Okay. All right.
Fish exorcised the spirits, changing Bowen to 10% gay, which he considered normal. Bowen talked about the exorcism in his journal with God speaking to him. You have rid yourself of 90% of your H parts. However, what remains is strong and female and robs you of power and voice. Trust me, believe, faithful, fill your body with faith. Mel is right. You are not an H-man, referring to homosexual. This is Satan's lie.
Mm-mm-mm.
Another entry where God speaks to him. Gordon, my son, believe what happened with Mel and with Kissy. It's true. You did cast out female spirits from your body that are not you. You are not an H-man, period.
Okay, found it.
One of Barbara's sons, by her first marriage, provided an affidavit about David Hamlin.
Okay, check this real quick. All right, let me turn closed caption on unless they have it. I don't know. Oh yeah, it's up here, I think. All right.
Ruby continued to be like, no, we can help. Like, she doesn't want that. Could you imagine like what would happen to her reputation if this got out and stuff? Let's help her. So we went down like a couple more times between May and August, but it reached the point where in August, her bishop at the time, a guy named who's down there in Kayenta named Scott Galbraith. He's not our bishop anymore, but I mean, he was going over there like every night, and he'd be there for like 4 hours, and he'd be like, I'm fighting evil spirits, I'm casting demons out, I'm crazy stuff going on, and finally he got to the point where he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, there needs to be some sort of resolution. It was at that point that they said, why don't you take her up to your house? And I was like, oh, hell no. I don't want this in my house. But I was beaten over the head with it. Like, that's really insensitive. You know, she's done so much to help our family, and you're being selfish, and she has needs, and come on, like, it won't be for long. And so I relented, and I was like, okay, actually, you know, this could kind of be fun. Let's just make it fun. And we'll, like, she needs a vacation, so we'll just go take drives up the canyon and stuff like that. And it turned into just a crazy house. The moment she showed up in my house, just the weirdest crap started happening. Lights turning on and off, sounds of people walking in walls, and like sounds like footprints going up walls and across the ceiling, and like stuff floating around, and it was weird, and I hated it. And I became the resident exorcist. That was the title I came up with myself. I thought it was kind of funny, but it was my job to like go and give her blessings whenever she started to like go into a trance and go into possession, and which started to be a lot. And Ruby would go up and check on her. It started like every 4 hours at night, and then it moved every 2 hours at night, then it moved every hour at night, and then at some point Ruby said, you know what, I'm just going to start sleeping in there, and if I need you, I'll come down and get you. I'm like, that's kind of weird, but okay. And that was that. They started sleeping in the same bed, and then she started having like trances and stuff. I would say probably September, where she believed that she was going to heaven and seeing God and Jesus and talking with them. And she would get together with Pam Botcher. Ruby, Pam, and Jody would get together and do these interventions. That's what they call them. And so they just go up and lock themselves in a room for 4 or 5 hours, and then they'd come out and they'd all just be on cloud nine. And Ruby would share with me like she had this amazing vision, and I wrote it and recorded it all down, and we have a work to do from God, and you're part of it, and the bishop's part of it, and we're all part of bringing all this stuff to the world. And so it was, and it continued like that until I wanted to move on with life. And I would call it dragging my heels. So that was around October. And Jody flipped out because during one intervention, Chad was in the backyard with a bunch of friends, and it was my job to keep all the kids contained in the basement watching movies or playing video games. And I took the dog on a walk, and I thought they were done, but they weren't done. And Chad had all his high school friends over in the backyard. Jody flipped out. She was ready to come back to Ivan's on her own that night, and Ruby and Pam talked her into staying. But that was the first night where Ruby said, I want a separation from you. And it was an in-home separation. And so it was hard. Basically, there were all these rules now placed on me. Like, I could leave when I wanted, but I couldn't come back until Ruby gave me permission. I couldn't come into the kitchen to eat until Ruby gave me permission. And the upstairs where Jody roamed was completely off limits. I couldn't go upstairs anymore in my own house. And there would be, Ruby would dictate all of the terms of how our interactions would be, when we would talk, and that was hard. And it was during that time that I really became, I would say, dependent upon Ruby. Like, if she said a kind word to me, like, my whole day was made, right? And so that separation continued all the way up until the holidays, maybe the last week of December, first week of January. And then Ruby ended that separation. Jody went home the second week of January. But by that time, like, Ruby, Pam, and Jody were completely determined to do this work that they felt God had for them. And I
have so many questions.
I thought it was just batshit crazy. Like, Ruby, you have a reputation. You have a multi-million-dollar business. Yeah. You have a brand, and you are just giving it away. She wanted to legally, like, work with Jody's attorney to basically give Jody 8 passengers. And and become an employee of Connections. So basically the contract was Ruby gives Jody everything and Ruby gets nothing in return. Our manager, our YouTube manager at the time was like, red flags. Like, I don't know how to tell you she's scamming you. Ruby fired him.
They're all grifting.
And I was like, I believe our manager. I think he's right. And Ruby started threatening me with another separation.
Ego.
And just like, this isn't about money. This is about doing God's work.
Says the person who wants the money.
We continued in that time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he talked about how she had these visions and stuff, and they're very similar to what we heard from Gordon Bowen. Well, I don't think I actually heard that part yet, but not from Gordon Bowen. He writes about writing on egorged. I'm sorry, egorged. Is that the word? Jesus. Is it engorged or egorged? It don't sound right.
Engorged is full of.
That's it. An engorged Jesus. And this is like sadistic completely because his vision, his dream, he's writing a screenplay, allegedly, Gordon Bowen is, and it just sounds as off as the one that I think is right here with, let me look on here. Of Jody Hildebrandt, where she has, I want to say a lion or a tiger. I forget which one it is right now, but of named Charles. It's just freaking out there.
Oh, wow.
So let me pull this up, Control F, and try to get to it. I don't want y'all to think I'm just sitting here playing, here it is. But I just
so real quick though, what were they doing up in that locked room for 4 to 5 hours and then coming down with being ecstatic, filled with visions?
Are they doing dope? It's a very good question. I mean, I don't think it's an out there question. Tim Ballard was using ketamine, so what were these ladies using? It's a question that one of Brandon Boudreaux and Melanie Pulaski, Boudreaux-Pulaski, one of their friends, Jess, had mentioned, they had heard rumors about using like these hallucinogens or whatever. Now, I've never heard anything else about it though. So what was really going on? And is what I just want to know what this is. I really do.
It's just bizarre behavior.
It is. And it's just completely inverted from what is projected out there, what the image that they're trying to put off. I don't know if it's just a group. Is it just a group? Is it just a group that belongs to this LDS Church of Satan that's been around, in my opinion, since Bishop Glen Pace? I believe maybe he was writing about these same kind of things going on that are going on still today. Or is this a church-wide thing? What's really going on here? And I mean, Carolina Hurtado just left a comment that I found really, really, really interesting and well put. And she put, the LDS Church is a cover for the Church of Satan. Their temples are satanic temples. I mean, if you think about it, if you look at the outside of the temple with the inverted pentagrams, and then you have people like Tim Ballard on the History Channel saying, oh no, those aren't inverted pentagrams, you silly Sally. Those are just, from this time and that time. And I mean, it's so weird. It's just like, I don't want to think that. But then again, the prophet of the Mormon Church right now, today, in present day, President Nelson was a member of the Skull and Bones Secret Society. So was President, M. Russell Ballard, Apostle M. Russell Ballard. He was also a Skull and Bone. And I mean, those are probably things that maybe the members would like to know. Probably not now. But, if they were ever given informed consent, that might be right there on the questionnaire, I would say. Because if you go look into what they're doing, what Skull and Bones represents, no. Okay, first off, no. They have to get naked and lay in a casket with another one of the members or the initiates, and they have to tell them their deepest, darkest secret. And then they swear on these oaths. That's hard to say. Oaths. And that becomes more of their priority because they swear to that oath. And it's no longer even about the church, That's secondary. That's just a tool. I don't know. There's just so many questions.
So many.
And it leads to just more questions.
Yeah.
But here's this part right here where we're going to hear about Charles, the pet lion in heaven. Okay.
Oh.
And we can.
Has it been an hour?
Almost.
I told you it wouldn't take an hour. I'm sorry.
We're good too if you need to head out. That was seriously.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The only questions I would have, just going back, you said that she was having like these visions of like were you ever privy enough to understand or read told what those visions were?
A couple of them.
What were the two that they should tell you about?
So like one of them, she was walking along the beach with Jesus, and Jesus challenged her to go walk on the water, and it was a whole lesson on walking on the water. Another, she would walk with Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother, and she learned about, she had a pet lion in heaven named Charles. I don't know why I never forgot that name, but it was like this massive lion, and she got to ride the lion and learned that, all about who she was and this pet lion and all.
Who she was.
There was another one where there was a lot of satanic ones where when she would go into possession mode, she would talk in like different voices. It was really creepy. But the voices would say, she's ours, we're not letting go. She is Satan's bride. She's mine. I'm going to marry her. So if she was faking it, she believed that she was trying to, or Satan wanted her as her bride.
So then you said, just clarifying, so the last time you saw the kids was when you separated that in July, is that what I'm thinking? Of 2022. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm just really interested in the pen papers. Like for my own curiosity, I want to know what was going on and all of those little interventions.
I'll look back through the photos because, like I said, we documented everything in the home, whether we took it or if we didn't. And then I'll reach out to Mr. Kester and let you know.
I have
But-
a couple of observations when you're done.
Yeah, go for it.
So I always thought it was interesting, now that you mentioned that she was riding a lion. Kevin told me that when they were having these group meetings, she would never show up. She would show up on the WebEx, but in place of her person would just be this X for the connection. So it's like this Wizard of Oz thing going on.
She never showed her face.
Kind of eerie.
She always covered herself.
Yeah.
Like even in the hottest of summer, she would wear these hoodies. She would smell so bad.
Oh, God.
She would never bathe. But she was trying to hide her arms and stuff because
She was a cutter.
Apparently, Ruby told me they were just like mutilated.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I think it's important for them to know is during that whole time when you were out, you only had communication with Ruby maybe 3 or 4 times. But each
That's his
time,
attorney.
or at least on some of the occasions you spoke to her, she's telling you that everything's blissful, we're doing well, everything's so much better without you.
Oh, this is about the
that
money.
would be communicated to me by Jody every week and the men's groups too. And it was just like, you're abandoning your family. And it always hurt so bad because it's like, I want to be with my family so bad. What do you mean I'm abandoning them? If you wanted to be with
That's exactly what they were doing. They were abandoning those kids. My
and
God, it's so backwards.
Yeah, that's a similar gaslighting thing that Lori did with Charles Vallow.
How?
Where,
I'd like to know.
So, I don't mean the specific circumstances. I just mean telling him that
A lot of times.
He's the crazy one.
Yeah.
And
okay. Now I know kind of what you mean by that. It's interesting. It's disturbing too on every level, but I mean, I just really want to know what's plaguing these people. What is happening to these people? So much so that they will murder their family, and if 5 years later do a Dateline debut and still lie and still cackle about this, blame her own daughter. What are we dealing with? I understand the narcissism thing. I do. But what happened? What's flipped the switch? It's not the Lori I met and not the one that she presented to me. But then again, that's the one she presented to me. So do they just go on for years and years, decades even, and just have this, covertly lurking in the shadows, literally? And then just one day they're like, rawr, what is going on?
Well, she got introduced to Chad and his.
Okay. But I have a question for you, Joe, and everybody here. Have you ever read someone's books and then fell in love with them? Has anybody fallen in love with Chad Daybell? Because I've read his books. I have not fallen in love with him. So that to me is absurd. Okay. You can't tell me that she read his books and then was like, oh yeah.
Right. There was some angle to it though, some aspect to it though.
We're missing something.
That feeds into her narcissism, that she's not getting what she thinks she needs from Charles, that she didn't get from Joe, that she didn't get from the two before that.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
I can see that big time, because with each ex-husband, with each divorce, she got increasingly, it's like Joe set her off. And then Uncle Charles was there and just maybe she was just cute and he liked her. I don't really know. I don't know, because I wasn't there, but it just makes me wonder. Because, I mean, it's been like revenge ever since. And like Colby said in his live stream the other night, it's like Lori makes it sound like whenever she, because she made up this whole, I went to heaven when I was giving birth to Tylee. I met her in heaven. She said she wanted to do the mission. She was all happy to do so. And then it's like Colby said, it's like Tylee killed her. That's what she makes it sound like. She's the victim. But yet, I mean, I've noticed a lot of terminology used by Lori and others, but mainly Lori, where, Hiplos, when you look it up, it means, and you can only find it from, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, Cebu, Cebu or Cebu. I don't know how to say it. It's like overseas in the, I would say, Oriental area, Orient. I don't know. I don't have it right in front of me, but the definition there for Hiplos, Hiplos, was to loose, to like free, to liberate, which also brings some more questions, because I've heard Tim Ballard say, we liberate the children, we liberate them. Do you know what liberate? I found liberate means Satan. And I forget where I saw it, but so I don't have that right here. I wasn't expecting to share that, but to unchain, to free. And that's what they're doing. Sometimes I believe in their minds, at least, they're setting them free. And I don't know I don't know. It just is so, I know what's happening here. I see the evidence. The evidence is a lot of mayhem, a lot of wreckage, a lot of victims in their wakes. So what do they mean by loosen, Hiplos, setting them free, liberating? It's just something to kind of think about.
Yeah. And I'm going to bounce out more just to the overall relationship between men and women and marriages. And if you're in a relationship, whether it's marriage or not marriage, with someone who's a narcissist, or when you're trying to court someone who's a narcissist, you have to go out of your way to feed their narcissistic desires.
Yeah.
Yes. They need you to do certain things. And whether it's money or attention or time, whatever it is, or all three of the above, then you do that when you're courting, and then that courting can lead to a serious relationship like marriage. Then you get in that marriage, and the narcissist all of a sudden realizes, I maybe am not getting everything I need.
Right. Lori's trying to fill a hole for sure. Not just okay. I know. I just realized what I just said, but and so not in a dirty way, but I mean that too. Whatever. Okay.
So they have regret. They have buyer's remorse. They're like, I went ahead and agreed to this because this person's giving me everything I think I need, but then they get in it and like,
they provide.
This other guy's giving me attention too, and I like that. And this other guy's giving me attention too, and I like that. And this other guy's again. And then they're like, I'm getting more attention from this other person. Bye-bye, Charles.
Feeding that. And they're getting their supply from that person and everywhere. I've dated a narcissist. I didn't realize it at the time. Isn't that the story? Isn't that how that goes? But oh my God, everything revolved around his needs and his wants and his whatever he wanted. And oh my God, it is so taxing. It is so taxing. But I mean, that makes a lot of sense, though. I feel like Lori is something from childhood. I feel something from childhood. There's a reason Barry's dark. There was a reason that Barry and Adam and Zach Cox ended up being dark, after my mom. And it makes you wonder, like, well, what did he do? Right. And it just makes me really wonder what her childhood was like. I saw the Netflix document along with a lot of you. I actually have it recorded. If anybody needs the link ever, just let me know. It's in my StreamYard, just like the Dateline. But in that, we see Barry Cox for the first time, and he says that Lori told him, Dad, you're a spiritual giant. And he just ate that up. And I mean, okay, I can see that side of it, right? But I mean, again, it's like you want to peel back the first layer. And if you do peel back the first layer, like just digging into that a little bit, you're like, oh, because then there's Stacy Cox Cope, who was Lori's sister. This is another thing that factors into their belief system. The fact that Lori believed that Tylee was a reincarnation of her sister Stacy. And then if you read in the text messages between Chad, Zalema, and I want to say Lori, that JJ was going to be reincarnated as Colby's child in the future. What's going on? I'm just saying, like, I don't understand that.
No. And if they think of those as their regular beliefs, then I mean, like, how does that lead to the eventual?
How does that lead into multiple mortal probations, or like what they think?
Right.
They're just all these great people, It is weird. But I mean, obviously that's a little pattern, because if they say that about Stacy, then, and that was Lori's belief already. I mean, I'm just like, what do these people believe? What do they believe? And are they being honest when they say that they don't do more multiple mortal probations, which is reincarnation in Mormonism? And then how
multiple dispensations, right?
Yeah.
Is that the term?
Well, no, they call it multiple mortal probations. Trust me, it's like they're extra, so it's got to be extra tough to say.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's how this goes. But I mean, that's a big thing in all this is reincarnation. But they do believe in multiple lives. I will say that because They believe in pre-existence, where they signed a contract with Jesus, you know, and then before birth, and then they are born into this life, which is number 2, and then they have the afterlife, which is number 3. So that's multiple in my definitions, okay? My understanding. So again, what do we believe and why? And how many believe it? You know, like I know the church likes to do polls. Why don't they do that? Okay.
Right.
I
So
mean,
she started studying about those things like seriously
yeah,
when she got a
yeah,
hold of the book Visions of Glory, and she started going to Chad's seminars, and Chad came down to Arizona. But before that, when she was just a narcissist that wasn't a part of a weird
that
offshoot
wasn't
cult,
ignited. Yeah.
right? Why as a narcissist would you agree to adopt JJ and you want
Yeah.
to adopt the next child? I don't understand that transition there.
The rationalization behind that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because she actually talks about that in her testimony with Melanie Gibb. Let me see. I'm trying to pull it up. She says, so I had to adopt this child, or I had to be with this husband to have this child, to adopt this child. It's weird. I mean, so maybe we could take a glimpse in that, but it's up to y'all. I mean, I'm just here. I can bring up stuff all day. It's kind of my thing, but it's
I don't think we'll ever understand her and her motives and her
I don't think
rationalization,
so.
because she's irrational. You can't rationalize
Right.
the irrational.
My uncle called her nonsensical, and I mean, hello, that's a very good word. She's nonsensical all the time. But I mean, what was she like before this snap or whatever? Because holy crap, this is still the time she's telling Kelsey that Jesus loves you, but he loves me more. This is when she's telling my daughter that my daughter was special. Like, I don't know, because I wasn't there. Wish I would have been. I'd have kicked her ass a couple times. Just, hey, girl, snap into reality. I mean, I don't know. And I mean, again, can a narcissist just be lying underneath the surface and only just showing a few of the traits, not just full force, full swing like we see?
I don't know. Megan, when I had Megan on the one time, she told stories about going and visiting the Cox family, like over summer vacations and stuff. And she had all kinds of things to say about Lori. Yes.
Yeah. Being sexual, just a very sexualized family. But again, it's like, I wish that Adam and Summer and Rex, I mean, how come Megan's stories are so different from what we're hearing from those three? Like, why? And I believe Megan over everybody, because she's got integrity. I can tell she's never given me a reason not to. And so it just makes me think that there's more secrets there that are hidden, and especially with Stacy. Stacy had eating disorder. There's a whole filing that was filed by Steve Cope, which was Stacy's husband and Melanie Pulowski's dad. And there's this whole, like, it's crazy in the sense that, like, just how OCD Stacy was with food. You had to, like, sanitize your hands, wash your hands so many times a day. Melanie Pulowski was just a little girl. Her grandmother was obsessed, which would be Janice Cox, which would be Lori and Alex's mom, with watching the O.J. Simpson trial at this time. And Melanie Boudreaux was like wanting to be a boy, and she was calling herself Alex or AJ, or I forget what it was, or two different things. And she would wear a ball cap all the time, and she wasn't getting any like nutritious stuff from like milk because her mom wouldn't let her have it. It was just really bad. it was really, really bad. And then when you look at the symptoms of satanic ritual abuse or ritual abuse, that's part of it. You know, you have Janice spitting out her food, just chewing enough to just get the taste out of it and then spitting it into her napkin. And then, you know, fat shaming her kids. And that's exactly what Lori did. I actually have a board that was from the pictures that were taken at the crime scene after my uncle was murdered at that house in Arizona, in Chandler. And there's a board that was in Tylee's room. Again, no beds, mattresses on the floor, just like Ruby Frankie did her kids, some of them. Okay. JJ had a pallet in the corner of Lori's room, according to Melanie Gibb. But I mean, what do I know? And on this board, it says how like not to eat past 7. It says, which is a thing in this LDS Church of Satan. It's all about keeping thin. Okay. So it's a whole lot of this going on. I'm looking for it actually while I talk, but anyways,
okay, so while you're looking for it, I have a little conversation going on in chat. And when Megan was on, she described her relationship to the Cox family. And I know she's Lori's cousin, but I don't know how.
Her dad, Megan's dad, and Janice are brother and sister.
So Janice is Lori's mom.
Yep.
Okay.
And Alex's mom. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. I mean, yeah. There's so many things, y'all. There's so many things. I'm scrolling.
I can hear your mouse wheel.
I know, and
really
I have the quiet one. I was sure to buy the quiet one. You can't hear me click though.
And that's kind of the sound that goes in my head though while I'm thinking. It's the
oh, definitely.
But we have 83 watching right now, which is like the highest of the night. So we got to give them something. Unless you need to go.
I don't. I mean, I really don't. I'm just here. This is what I do. It's actually helping me to get it out. You know, I think it's all about getting it out. I'm sorry, my phone made that. It wasn't on purpose. But it should be in here somewhere. I don't know. I just feel like it's here. If you need to share these out on your channel, I can't make it larger, but you know, just who's who. And how.
Hold on. There we go.
Oh, what? Oh, okay. I wasn't on there, so I was sharing it the whole time, huh?
No, I just pulled it up.
Oh, my bad. And
I
I'm
just
sitting there
shared
like, ho, ho, ho. I hate when that happens because it's like an inside joke. It becomes an inside joke because nobody else saw it. But yeah, it's like just kind of share these a little bit, and that way you can kind of, you know, it's a chart. You got to have a chart with Lori Vallow. And I was showing you this. I was saying my phone made that. I didn't do it. But I think that's a lot of the problem here is this generational thing going on here.
So that's the lady in front is Lori. That's Lori and Alex's mom?
Yes.
Who is that?
And there's
Okay.
Lori right here and Melanie Boudreau-Pulaski right here and Summer. Stacy's right here. It's not a good picture of her, and that's Lori and Summer when they were younger.
And the Coxes were Southern California Mormons, right?
Right here. Bleach blonde and all. You know, it's Lori, Alex, Steve Cope. This is Adam.
Oh my gosh, that 80s hair. Oh my gosh.
Right there. And the girls, that's closer to God,
Yes.
right? The higher the hair.
Right.
This is Summer and Stacy. This is Melanie Boudreau-Pulaski. Look at them ears. Oh my gosh. This is Barry and Janice. Now.
There are several of those on the defense witness list.
Yeah, that was very interesting. That was very interesting. You know, Summer there's talk between Summer and Lori whenever whenever Brandon had gotten shot at. And I mean, I've made a video about that and shared it where it so Summer's like, "Oh, Brandon just got shot at, his Tesla or whatever, the car he drove." And anyway, so Lori is like, "Do you think it was Edgar?" And we're like, Edgar enters the conversation and we're like, "Who the hell's Edgar?" Well, it's this guy that, I mean, I don't think she dated him back in the day. I think maybe he might have been a fling, allegedly. I don't know. Maybe he's part of this LDS Church of Satan. I don't know who he is. But I mean, why would you say you think it was Edgar who took a shot at Brandon? How many freaking assassins do y'all know? Is what I want to know. It sounds like a damn crime mob family or something.
After after Alex missed, wasn't there a text that went back and forth? Alex allegedly missed that said he can't do anything right.
Yeah. No, that was actually Zalima that testified to that. It was after a missed shot at Tammy. And Lori was over there at Zalima's, and when that happened in Arizona, and she said that she can't do anything right. Look, I had too much time on my hands. Can you see the different outfits?
You did.
But anyways, I mean, minus the outfit, this would be Rex Connor, and this is one of the brothers of Janice. So
who's Rex Connor?
That's Adam. That's Grunkle. That's Adam and Alec. He does a podcast with Adam right now called.
Oh, really?
I forget what it's called. Silver Linings.
I think Salty mentioned that in my chat a little while ago.
Yeah, they're interesting.
That podcast.
And then this is back in the day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Not my family, but I did sleep in the same house with them. All of them, except for Adam and Alex. It was just like all these four. Every time Lori would go, and she went and walked like so many times every day, like 2 or 3 times a day, which I mean, okay, that's why she's fit and I'm not. But they would follow her like some little ducks, you know, like, oh, okay, Lori's going to walk, we're going to walk. And they all look down their nose at you, just like that, just like Lori. And I mean, we were Catholics or raised Catholic. I'm not saying we were all practicing Catholics, but there's a big, huge difference between Mormonism and Catholicism, period. First off, they don't drink, we do. Or we come more from that angle. In the beginning of this, I had found a letter. It's basically Uncle Charles's testimony, and I'm beating myself up because I've not been able to locate it ever since. And it was, he would say, like every so often, he would say, I had not yet met a Mormon. Then he talked about how he met, you know, Lori and her family and how they treated him so well and they didn't drink. And he just found that to be very like a positive thing. You know what I mean? And it is. But I can't find it. I brought it to my Aunt Susan and showed it to her, and I have not been able to find it since. And I'm kicking myself in the ass every day because I want that to be read as his victim statement. He had not yet met a Mormon. And here we are. You know, I don't know. Just, it would have been very poetic, I believe. But I don't know. This is part of that thing I was telling you about that was written, a petition that was about Stacy and them. Psychological Hornet's Nest is right there. I'll read it. Janet Wilcox had been acting as a nanny to Melanie Boudreaux, but Stacy asked her mother, Janice Cox, to come in Janet's stead. I don't know what that means. I was told that Stacy's mother would leave for California the day I came home. Guess this is Steve talking, right? Yeah, I do believe. Instead, Stacy and her mother left with Melanie 4 hours before my scheduled return. I believe that Stacy may attempt to take Melanie again, and I am unwilling to allow Melanie to be raised under the conditions which Stacy might provide. Stacy's family are inappropriate caretakers for Melanie. Not only does Melanie not want to be there, but I fear the effect of prolonged exposure to them on Melanie. When I finally brought Melanie and Stacy back from California, Melanie had begun displaying rather odd behaviors. She took a pair of scissors and hacked off her hair in a straight line, which she now always covers with a baseball hat. She insists she is a boy, and upon meeting new people will insist, call me AJ, Alex, or Bobby, and I am 3 years old. When she does that, she begins talking in a different pitch, as if she were 3 years old. Something weird has happened to Melanie. Stacy has always admitted to me and others that her family was a psychological hornet's nest. She has admitted that her father was diagnosed as schizophrenic, and that her mother, Janice Cox, is obsessed with issues of weight, physical appearances, and feminine bodies. Stacy now blames the origin of her problems on food, although it is clear that they originated because of her refusal to administer her insulin program on any consistent basis. Her mother has always been obsessive about any weight gain and about issues of food intake. And so I cannot help but conclude that those, and I don't, of course, don't have the next one. Somebody made that. Lori. Anyways. Yeah. So, I mean, just that right there is like, boom, you know. I think you can find it on Reddit is where it is. And it's titled right here. More declarations in Cope versus Cope 95, Lori and Janice. So if you go there, you can find it in its entirety. And it is a gem, I'll tell you. And this is Alex's letter that he wrote to his mom while he was in prison. I apologize. Oh, actually, he wrote this to his friend, Mary Tracy. I apologize for the boyfriend joke. I couldn't make it work. Mayor, would you do me a favor? Call Janice and ask her to put Joe's address on a postcard and his license plate number. I think it will be popular in here. No name, just address and plate number. Thanks. Okay, let's talk about me. We get to go outside for rec 1 hour a day, 4 days a week. My back was bad for 2 weeks, so I didn't go out. But last week I went out and took my shirt off and I got burned, so I didn't go back out for 9 days. It's so lame. Well, I'm just saying. It was very boring. Very long story. Oh, and this is interesting. Oh, yeah.
Facebook. This is the first time I've ever gone Facebook Live. This is my first ever Facebook Live. Okay.
You can do it on the Lucas fan page too.
Okay, you can do it on the Lucas fan page. This is on my personal.
Morgan, our web girl, will be mad at us if we don't.
Okay, so we're going Facebook Live. My brother Alex is in the studio, and a lot of people think that in our family, because I've done a morning show all over the country, that I'm the talented one in the family. But the truth be told, my brother Alex is the talented one in our family.
And she said Lori and Alex would call their parents by their first name. They didn't say mom and dad. They said Janice and Barry. She said Alex had that dry humor. And she said her kids actually really, really liked Alex. Her kids really enjoyed when Alex would do those Looney Tune voices. I don't know if you've ever heard Alex and his voices that he could do, but he was really good at doing different voices. And he did a lot of Looney Tunes, and her kids liked that.
But the truth be told, my brother Alex is the talented one in our family. And you're about to hear why. Okay, are you ready? So I told you he's all about cartoons, TVs, and movies. I'm just going to rattle off random things, and you're going to hear the impression and then the actual lines from the movie. Are you ready? Okay. Alex, are you ready?
I think so.
All right, let me face this over to Al. All right, give me Bugs Bunny and Little Red Riding Hood from Saturday morning cartoon.
Same shirt.
On the blink and my papa's at work, so I ain't. He's still in the factory.
That's not actually a very good impression. That's actually really bad. It's actually really bad.
Oh, it's so annoying.
That's
He's wearing the
really,
same
really
shirt.
bad.
I just realized
As what?
that.
Same shirt as what?
The day he was photographed after killing my uncle. Like he's wearing the same Puma shirt.
Yes.
I didn't realize that till just now. See, this is how this
my-
works. Okay.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah. That's chilling.
So who's the guy behind the microphone at the first part?
Adam. That's their brother, Adam.
That's his brother. He's really, really loud, like vocally forward.
Yeah. I mean, but like on the podcast, he doesn't really sound like the radio person that he was, which I find interesting as well.
Yeah. So maybe it's a dynamic between the two of them. Maybe.
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 I don't think I've ever heard him on his radio show. I actually bought his book in the very beginning of this because, like I said, I was researching everybody, to my knowledge at least, and I never finished his book. But he did talk about Stacy in it, and I'm talking about Adam right now. Adam's book,
right.
My Radio Life or something. But I don't know if y'all even want me to finish this. It's doing different.
Not. No, please, for the love of God. That was so in my chat, USA Libertarian said some of his impressions were good at times. Yeah.
Yeah. They were at times.
I've got some questions for you about Lori's defense filing, because I don't know all of the people on her witness list, and I think you might probably know most or all of them.
You know it. Pretty much. I mean, for the most part. Yeah.
All right, hold on. Got to hit the present button. It's so difficult.
No, it's horrible. It's so horrible. So many things to have to do simultaneously, It
is, and you have to have some sort of order of logic to it.
Yeah.
All right. So this was the latest filing last Thursday. And she cites both of her cases, one for Charles Vallow and Brandon Boudreaux. Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder is what I found in the probable cause the grand jury indictments. I haven't found her arrest warrants yet. I'm still looking for her arrest warrants on these two cases. But anyway, the first page is her defense, insufficiency of state's evidence. Obviously, that's a common argument for the defense. But then she goes capital letters or bold letters.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Self-defense, defense of others, third party at fault, mere presence. I'm not sure what that means. And procedural. I'm going to have an attorney explain me those defenses.
I was going to say I can look them up, but what is it
again? The self-defense as a defense theory is pretty obvious, but the charges are conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. How is conspiring with your brother to kill somebody a matter of self-defense? That makes no sense to me.
Right? Because right here, the theory of self-defense is protection and not aggression. And to keep the two in rough balance, the force to repel should approximate the violence threatened. Even a person who starts an affray is entitled to use self-defense when the opposing party escalates the level of the conflict.
So that's Alex's defense, because he claimed that he got hit in the back of the head with a bat and he was defending himself. He actually said that in his 911 call, but that can't be defense. She can't say I conspired to kill my husband because I was defending myself. Right.
Because she didn't defend herself. If she had pulled, and a lot of people think she did, but if she had pulled the trigger, went, got the gun, pulled the trigger, okay, maybe we'd be there, but we're not.
Do you think Alex
she used them in all her other murders? So.
Right. Yes. Do you think that Alex was wrapped enough around her finger to take the fall for her if she actually did pull the trigger?
I think so. In the LDS Church of Satan, they do have these different roles. One of them being the protector, and no, actually not the protector. They have all the things except I have not really seen protector. I've seen it somewhere else, but not in the actual LDS Church of Satan beliefs. So I don't know it's just I've never heard of like different roles of different things of like a criminal enterprise. You know, I don't know. Just never was versed in all this stuff. I don't know.
Then third party at fault. So is that Alex that she's throwing under the bus? Third party. So. Third party at fault for conspiring, though. I had to look up the grand jury charges. Third party at fault. I had to look up the grand jury charges because I thought she was on trial for the actual murder of your uncle.
I did too.
But it's conspiracy. The grand jury charges are conspiracy to commit first degree felony murder.
So all they have to prove is the actual conspiracy. If one person furthered it,
yes.
Okay.
Which we know he's dead, so it got furthered.
Yeah. And they went on.
Yes. To do more.
Now, I just looked at third party at fault self-defense thing. Is that what you had said? Because this came up. It says you believe the use of force is immediately necessary to protect that third person against the use or attempted use of unlawful force. That's from Texas.
Okay, that's actually not a horrible argument if the argument is as the stories are,
right?
That he came in there, they had an argument, and your Uncle Charles was being super aggressive, and so aggressive that Tylee brought out a bat and he grabbed the bat. I think they planted
the bat. I really do think that they. I don't know. I go back and forth with so many things.
Right. So that would mean in that hour that she took Tylee away, they were talking about their stories. They were getting their stories straight, right?
Which is why they're saying they could be hearsay, you know?
Right. What is immediate? What is immediately after? Yeah. Mere presence. Item E is mere presence as a defense argument.
Oh, I just read this. Under what conditions might a defendant not be justified in defending a third person? If you find from the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the time and place in question, the defendant did not reasonably believe that he or the third person was in danger of death or serious bodily injury, or that a reasonable person in the defendant's situation would have retreated before using deadly force. But this goes into the whole thing where Alex says, pause, Charles, just pause, time out. I'm going to get my gun. I'm going to go retrieve it from that bedroom right there where I say I got it from in my statement to the cops. And then I'm going to come back and then we're going to, unpause. No, sorry. I mean, that's so illogical.
I think in that police interview in the interview room that the state is not going to use, I think actually the investigator, the detective asked him, well, if you went in your room, why didn't you just stay there and lock the door and call 911?
Yeah, the cop that initially that was on scene said that, well, why didn't you just go lock yourself in there? Yeah.
It was one of the ones on scene. So that's body worn cam, and that actually may be admitted as evidence in trial because the state said the interview room video is not going to be used for Alex's testimony, but the body worn cam may be. They haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
So if that is one of her defense theories, then I would definitely hold that option open to present that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that would be a presentation, I think, on rebuttal though.
And you have to also I have to think, I at least am thinking that just like in Idaho, I was not expecting all those text messages. Some because I'd gotten them in the FOIA request, but not all of them. Like, holy crap. They really knitted that together. And then Chad Daybell's James and Elena story really topped it off, because I mean, it did coincide with actual events that were going on in their lives at that time.
Right. And then one of her arguments this morning was when they were discussing the severance of the two trials and the two cases versus the merging of the two trials and the two cases. She said, well, in the grand jury affidavits, they included all of the evidence from both cases in there. And I'm like thinking about that later and talking it out with my people in chat when I did my live earlier. Well, you can use evidence from another case, especially if it's like text messages and stuff, to prove a conspiracy. I mean, just
They
because
actually
you have
came from Chandler. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. No.
Yes, it's so Idaho used Chandler's,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So Chandler, we were wondering, like, why did Chandler, oh my God, this is like giving away the case. That's, I mean, kind of what you think, especially not knowing how this goes or whatever the rules. And so it was so interesting to see that play out in court. And I really think their own words sealed the deal, like, so to speak, literally.
Yeah,
and I mean,
they
I
had
think that's exactly what's going to happen here. I mean, I think it gets a little nerve-wracking for us because it's like it doesn't seem as clear, and especially their kids were involved, so it's just like but here it just seems a little more murky, in my opinion. But
yeah, I would agree.
I also know that there's they're not showing us their full hand, so we just have to have faith in the system and in good,
And in the end, even if justice isn't served in this particular case,
she still got to go serve that three life sentence.
Yes, exactly.
So
she's not going anywhere. And the judge actually mentioned that today. So one of his arguments, and I forgot to mention in my live earlier, he said, so in her speedy trial dismissal motion, she was counting down to, so many days till May 11th. And he said, well, if you're incarcerated, then and you have no chance of being released, then the state can actually dismiss the charges. And since you're not going to be released, they can refile them and we can start the clock all over again.
Oh, okay. I get it now. He shut her ass down.
He did. Yeah.
Like in a der way, like der. But here you go. Here you go.
Would you like for the state to dismiss those charges?
Because we'll do it. We'll take our time this time.
Yeah.
We'll wait till the very last day.
Right.
Oh my Lord. That's funny. Actually, that's like, I love that when it's just like, bam. I mean, I heard her ask that, but I wasn't paying, I guess, that much attention.
Yeah, this is a good judge. I like Judge Boreski a lot, and he's probably not going to be around to try the second one, and it'll be interesting to see the next judge that takes it out.
Well, and they have to find her pro per again. Like it's not just as far as I know.
That's right. I think so.
It's not just a freaking legal beagle and just get to go fly free for the rest of your life. It's like I believe I've heard people say that before. Like she'll have to, apply or ask or motion for it then. But and then he also said that she can't have two cases simultaneously. I mean, lady, quit getting your ass in trouble, and then maybe you won't have this predicament.
She can't have two different trials simultaneously, but she can be tried on a merged case basis. Like they could merge the two. And
we always thought that too. We always just assumed that they would be together. And a lot of people are shocked even now when they find out that they're not together. So, and then like Lori saying, well, the state doesn't want to try them together. And then boom, they were all just talking about it. And I was like, holy crap. But they would have to push back this one.
Right. She said that. She said the state could have tried them together and the state chose not to. And then the judge says, well, that's prejudicial against the defendant because if the same jury hears the evidence from two different crimes, that may prejudice them
just
against
like with
her
Idaho
for the other one
over her.
Right.
Yeah.
So and so the state goes, no, we can merge them. I just need a little more time to be able to prep to be able to merge them.
The witnesses out of town is what she said.
And you know what she said? What Lori said? No, I didn't mean that. I wasn't saying that.
Not that one, silly judge.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't really mean that we should merge them. And then that was like one of right. Exactly. Well, and then she has one of her like flippant comments. She said to the judge, well, we need to get this started by May 11th, and the court can just figure it out. Yeah.
Oh my God. What a self-righteous wank.
Yeah. The court can just figure it out. I'm
Yeah.
right and you're wrong, and blah, blah, blah.
Plus taxpayers' money. Who cares? Who cares? I don't have to deal with it.
All right.
Yeah.
So the list of witnesses. We know who Nate Eaton is. He was sitting in front of me today in court, typing up on his laptop like as fast as his fingers could go.
Yeah. Fall off.
Which is really cool because they allow electronic devices in these courts, and they didn't in Delphi, and that was extremely frustrating for a lot of people.
They did allow us in the one in Idaho, but I mean, don't dare point it up. Don't even raise it up to look because you can't see right. You better just keep it down because Judge Boyce was like out.
Right.
I respect a lot of people sometimes. Some deserved it. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Anyways.
I don't, but I don't need to know names. So Nate Eaton, Vaisa Itai. Vaisea Itai. Who is Vaisea?
Oh my God. Vaisea Ayatawa something. Vaisea is Tylee's friend that would, like, Lori would even fly her to Hawaii for, blocks of time. And I actually have a video in it, so I'll find that, and that's what I do, right? I'll find it and you'll see who Vaisea is. Very beautiful, sweet girl. Very close to Tylee.
Okay, and then Gabrielle Bonilla.
That's Gabe, is Bishop Gabe Bonilla. He is also Jason Mao's illustrator, and they're on business. I have them on a business forum together. Bishop Gabe was also present whenever my Uncle Charles was locked out of his house when he met with the cops and he had to break into his own house. Whenever the cop was like, destroy and murder aren't the same. that one. So Gabe had picked him up from the airport because Lori had canceled his return flights on a business trip. She started calling him Ned or whatever while he was out of town. And so he's coming back, right? Because he's like, what? And so he found out that she had canceled his flight back. So he had like $600 or something to his name. And so he had to buy tickets and fly back, only to find that his truck had been moved and was no longer at the airport where he always parked it. And because Melanie Gibb and Lori went and hid it. Okay. And then she got rid of all his clothes. She got rid of JJ's iPad, like all the things that both of them needed. She had Bailey, the dog. She had the service dog. She had his collar. She took that, not the dog. And then, that's what Uncle Charles came back to. Nobody was there. She went and stayed at a hotel. And so Bishop Gabe Bonilla was with him, and we heard him today in my live stream when I played that clip. And so he was involved because Charles patched a phone call that he was on with Lori. He added Gabe Bonilla, like he made it a conference call. So Gabe Bonilla actually was witness to that. He witnessed what Lori was saying to Charles firsthand.
So why would she call him?
It's about time it gets called, though. It's about time. I mean, all of us have been like, where the hell is this damn bishop? Okay. That's friends with Jason now.
He is. So she thinks he'll be beneficial to her case. Okay.
I guess,
Who was he where was he bishop at? Where was he bishop at?
In their ward. He's also Melanie Gibb's bishop. Melanie Gibb was the third party. And Melanie Gibb talks about how she went, she was called by Gabe, okay, the day that Alex died. And he was like, ooh, well, according to Melanie Gibb, he's like, why is there such a heavy police presence at Dilemmas? And she's like, Melanie Gibb's like, oh, let me go see and I'll call you back. So, I mean, just saying, just little tab keepers. I don't know what they were doing.
Wow.
Nothing good, in my opinion.
Okay. Now we have Joseph Pongratz.
Okay, Joe Pongratz was the landlord of the house where Charles was murdered, and he was supposed to meet with Charles the day that Charles got murdered to go look at houses.
And Chandler, right?
Yeah, he's a very sweet guy. He's the one that mentioned the pool party. So
remind us again about the pool party.
We've always just heard that there was this pool party after Charles was murdered. Kids playing. I mean, of course, it could be a lot of kids and just music on, but you know, who knows? I don't know because I wasn't there. Lori likes to, flex the part that you weren't there. I was there. Nobody was there.
Oh, how many times did she see that in that interview?
So I don't know.
So how does that pool party relate to the case?
I'm just saying that's how we heard about that. That she was throwing a pool party the day he died.
Oh, the day he died.
Yeah.
Like after he died? After he died?
Yeah, the same day.
How on earth does she think that's going to help her case? Oh, my word.
But I mean, he told her she had to get out. So he kind of prompted, I guess, he ignited that aspect of it. Like, hey, let's move to Idaho.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm saying it just maybe
no.
You
have somebody murdered. You have somebody murdered in a rental house, and then there's a loud pool party going on that night.
Y'all need to go listen to his because he's got an interview with one of the Chandler detectives after that. It's pretty good. Y'all need to go check it out. It came out with the FOIA request. I'm gonna go grab it real quick so y'all gotta share the link.
Okay, Ashlyn Rind. Ryan.
That is another one of Tylee's friends. She testified in, I want to say maybe both trials for Chad and Lori, but I'm not sure. I think she did.
How horrible would that be? How horrible would that be?
It's terrible, but yeah, she's actually on this video. Well, I was looking for of Tylee and Vice. Wait, no, hold on. Oh no, that's another one. Never mind. But I do have her on another video with Tylee. I'm still
keep looking. We'll pull it up. Barry Cox. That's Lori's dad.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm learning some things. I'm getting a few in here. I got 1 out of like 7 so far.
Hey, gotta start somewhere.
And then Adam Cox is her brother.
Yep. He was deemed a zombie, allegedly.
Right, and he was texting with Charles, right? He was decent friends with Charles.
Yep. Oh, and so Charles had, confided in Adam. Now, the only thing I have against Adam is he was supposed to come in. Okay, Uncle Charles paid for him to come in to town because he lived in Kansas, and to help him do an intervention with Lori, to talk to the stake president, to just get to the bottom, like take her temple recommend, just kind of snap her out of this. Well, Adam gets in and he just calls his mom to pick him up from the airport. And I'm just like, well, that's not very good, because in the text messages you see communications between Lori, her mom, Summer, Alex, and then you see where Charles, text Lori, where Adam and Charles are texting one another, and you kind of see what's playing out. And you have Janice saying, hey, no, it's either Janice or Summer, don't quote me right now, but it's one of them saying, do you want me to run interference? They knew what was happening. They knew why Charles had Adam come in, and they pretended like they didn't know. You see what I'm saying? They covered for Lori, in my opinion, just like she told them to do, because they do whatever Lori tells them to do. It's very gross. Right. Lori told them not to talk to Charles. She said that he was cheating on her, but she was the one doing the cheating. And actually, the Chandler detective said in the FOIA docs that there was no evidence of Charles cheating. It was Lori that was actually cheating. And again, it's that projection thing, and they're accusing you of doing what they're actually doing. And it's disturbing. They're disturbing people, man. Woo. Stacy was right when she said it was a psychological hornet's nest. Amen.
Yeah. I actually filled out the bottom 4 all by myself.
Well, you go, boy.
Zachary Cox. Zachary Cox.
Mm-hmm.
Who is Zachary Cox?
That is Adam Cox's son. He lived with Lori and Charles towards the end of their relationship. He was actually living there when Charles was locked out of the house. He does an interview with Justin Lum, and he is just like, so he's like, I shouldn't have listened to them, and I should have, talked to Charles. He beats himself up about it. I feel like he's being sincere. He can't help what family he was born into. None of us can, but it just seems like he's the most apologetic, the most, at least towards Charles, for sure. And he was just a kid kind of stuck in this. He was working for Brandon, and at that time, so he was living there with Charles and Lori and working, and stuff. And I actually have a letter from him, like original, that he had written to Uncle Charles. And it was like, I learned so much from you. I just want to be like you. You're such a good father and husband and provider. And this was like in December of 2018. So right at the end, and he joked about, I'm going to miss our $10 footlongs. So they would go get Subway all the time, and I mean, to me, again, was just the most genuine person from Lori's family, in my opinion.
I just don't know how all of these witnesses she thinks are going to help her. Like, I mean, some of them obviously, but some of them.
I mean, right? Because like Zach and Adam, they're on her witness list, and she marked them dark. So did Barry. What the hell? They know that now for sure. Just having to live with that. Why would she have me on that list? That's got to do something on the psyche,
Why wouldn't she have you on the list?
Why would she? And then why would she call you? That's got to jack with your mind. If not, it should.
I'm asking you why she doesn't have you on the list.
Because I wasn't in the way of her mission. No, I'm just kidding. That's what Melanie Gibbs says, and I'm just like, you're a ridiculous woman. You know that? You're freaking ridiculous.
Oh yeah. That's another good question. Why doesn't she have Melanie Gibb on this list?
I don't know, because she sure did say in Colby's interview with Lori, she was like, in stinky Melanie. I'm just like, she was your friend, you hooker. You brought her into your children's lives and into their deaths, really, because again, I'm now of the opinion that Melanie Gibb was present during Tylee's, because they did a podcast. They published it September 7th, which was the same weekend that Tylee disappeared. And I mean, why would they do one podcast away from each other if they always had to be around each other to do a podcast? Anyways.
Yeah.
And
so
I Mela is too. And it's called Feel the Fire. And that's how Tylee died. I'm sorry. Mm-mm.
So if Melanie was involved,
she is.
Then
in my
one, yes, and a lot.
I
of
know.
people
I'll
think
do the
so
ifs. Sorry. Go ahead.
You're fine. You're fine. No, but then logically you go, well, why wouldn't Lori call her? Well, maybe Lori's protecting her. No, Lori doesn't protect anybody.
Nobody
except herself.
Her daughters, even her kids. And she didn't even really mention JJ in this Dateline. I wonder if that's her next way of like abusing, because that's something that she did do, was the silent treatment. And that's so horrible. The silent treatment to somebody, it's like, well, what did I do? Like, right. That's what you're going to ask yourself, because like, oh my God. unaware that she's a narcissist, and that's how she controls, abuses, and manipulates.
Right.
So
were you looking for a video?
I am. Still haven't found it. I have a lot of videos, dude. I have a lot of things. I mean,
I was trying to distract everybody in chat while you were finding it, but I distracted
I've been
you
looking.
too.
Doesn't mean, I have this. Wait, let me see what this one is first.
So her putting both cases on one legal filing, I heard today, might be a legal no-no. Like they need to be separate filings with only one cause number, case number, whatever you call it, on each filing. I didn't hear anything mentioned about that by the state today or the judge, so I'm not sure what weight to put on that.
Yeah.
Especially since she doesn't want them merged, but she
can want one in and crap in the other.
That's what my mom used to
That's how
say.
I feel about it. Well, and then clap. Close your mouth. Shit's gonna be flying everywhere.
Close your eyes too.
Whatever. It's whatever degree of poo-poo you want on your face, girl. Where are we going? Oh, I found the bat. Yes. Oh my God. So yay. Okay. Remember how I kept telling y'all that Justin Lummick came out with a report and I couldn't find it, but it's to do with DNA and being on the bat. Well, here it is. Okay.
Nice.
If I can just
by the way,
in right here.
Yep. I met him today. No, we were done with that document, but I met him today. He's really shy. He's like super
I know
shy.
he is. He is. I actually filmed Justin interviewing my stepdad in their hotel room. And the craziest thing happened. Okay. So in the middle of the interview, so I'm filming them. And so I'm sitting there like perched up on a little couch, and out of nowhere, I just have like a dry cough, and I'm just like, and I mean, it's out of control. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing, Anyways, I found it. Yeah. Larry mooned the camera actually. And I'm like, oh
what?
My God. Drop the drawers and everything. I was like, okay, here we are. That's my dad. That's my dad. And I just think he got to a point where he was just freaking done. You could see it move through Larry throughout this process. You could see where he went through his stages of just heartbreak, where he went through his stages of resentment and anger. You can tell, and I think a lot of us identify with him or relate to him in a lot of ways because he reminds us of somebody, or he's just down to earth, and has a way of saying what we are all thinking even. And I mean, he's just a beautiful soul, really. I mean, I'm blessed that he's my stepdad, but I don't look at him like that.
The people in my life that I know that he reminds me of are all people that I love dearly.
Isn't it 100%. Awesome? Yeah. Just genuine, and just he loves his grandchildren. He loves his children. He loves his wife. You know what I'm saying? And then some people are technical about that shit. And I'm like, they weren't married for a long time. They got married, divorced, and then were together forever. And then before Judge, it was all about having to do with, and I mean, I think they're going through this with Koberger right now, who qualifies as a victim. And I say that loosely because it's like, oh my God, I'm so sick of these hoops you got to jump through, because if Lori was not the adoptive parent of my nephew, then I would have been his aunt, And so that kept me out of that. It's technicalities type of thing. And it just sucks, like even a grief group I was trying to like find out about. They were like, well, you have to be a mother or father, grandfather, grandmother, or a brother or sister. And I'm like, well, mother cracker, this is my uncle and my nephew. My bad. It's very frustrating. I don't like that. It was very hurtful. And I mean, I understand, you have to have boundaries and stuff. I get it.
No. You don't have to have boundaries when you're trying to help people heal.
An
organization. You should not have boundaries. No.
I mean, because if you open the floodgates, okay, well, I'm wrong then, but I didn't realize at the time, because it took so much, and I didn't even really realize that at the time. It took me so much to even reach out to
exactly, and just
friends or something. And it was a group here in Lake Charles, but we had just had the hurricanes. And so I was like, I emailed them, and I can't even believe I took the time out to do that, but I did. And then they emailed me back, and I can't believe I actually ran across it and saw that they, replied. And they were like, "Oh yeah, we've heard that was a family here in the lake area. No, but we only do this, this, this." They didn't even point me in the direction, any direction to go to. They didn't, but I didn't know that it hadn't registered at the time what happened. And when I did realize that, that happened, I cried my eyeballs out because it was rejection, like bad.
Exactly. If somebody is hurting bad enough to reach out to you, either as an individual or an organization, then you freaking welcome them in with open arms, and you should not have boundaries. You should not have restrictions. You just welcome them in. And if you need more resources, there are resources out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that. It would have been helpful, I think. But looking back at it, it enraged me. It hurt. And it just made me realize, and I learned this from my friend Jen. She was like, nobody gets to tell you how to grieve. And I mean, that just it resonated with me. And I was like, wow, it empowered me too. Because it doesn't matter my relationship to the victims or you people, everybody grieves. People in the chat grieve over them. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you don't have the right to. What? That's so weird. It's not right. And it's controlling in a way, you don't have the right to grieve, but yeah, you do. That's why I'm like, if you have a pet rock, okay, or a plant or a dog or a cat or whatever, okay, just fill in the blank. And you don't have that anymore. You can
a rock or a plant. That. A rock or a plant might be a bit far for me. Just personally.
Nobody gets to tell you how to grieve. And so there's no wrong or right. And I mean, everybody's grief is different, I'm being
honestly upset, but honestly, I say that jokingly, like a rock or a plant may be too far. But if you had a rock that got run over by a dump truck and it got crushed to pieces and it caused you to
not
grieve.
A good rock then.
Right, but okay, come to me and I will listen and I won't judge you.
Right, I won't turn away.
Yes, exactly. I will welcome you with open arms and I will listen to you and I
won't think you're weird. Right.
Well, I wouldn't say.
Yeah. That. Okay. Anyway, I know. I mean, it's just a lot of people even they say, "I'm so sorry about your uncle and your nephew," and I'm like, okay, well, there's also Tylee. It's not like just because she wasn't my blood doesn't mean I didn't love her or that I don't love her now. Because I even love Tammy and Joe, and I've never met them. So nobody gets to tell me that. And I'm not going to tell you. Yeah.
I never met JJ, and I didn't even know about him before this case. And I have no personal connection to him. But yeah, no personal ties. But watching that video of him and seeing the beautiful young boy that he was, I grieved. I did. I cried. And the next morning I got up and I cried again. Mm-hmm. And I have no connection. I have no personal ties. It's just
sad. It's just sad as a human being, as a parent, as just again, as a human being, it's just like, this shouldn't happen. This is not supposed to be. This is not how it's supposed to be at all. So it's sad. And again, I mean, I think it's what keeps us, keeping them center and focus and victim oriented, this is what it's about. it's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about our indifferences or everywhere in between. It's about the heart of the matter, and that's the senselessness of murder. You're not supposed to have. That's a basic human right, and you're not supposed to take it upon yourself to rid the world of anything. You know, I mean, have you ever thought about ridding yourself, Lori? I mean, maybe it's me that's the problem, that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, we can't. Well, if you go upon taking on the world to rid the world of evil, you will never get there. And so it'll be discouraging, but we can take it one day at a time. We can take it one concept at a time, one video at a time, one news story at a time, and take the lessons that we learned and the difficult research that you have done over the years, and maybe somewhere down the road, some other little boy, little girl will not end up in the same with the same ending.
That's what it's all about. It's about, you know, the world learned about Tylee and JJ. I mean, from all corners of the world. And I mean, that right there, just people knowing who they are, even if it's through this case. I mean, of course it's going to be through this case, but knowing that, and then just making it like count. Like Lori would slap her hand on the counter and say, doesn't count for me. And I think it's all about making it count for Lori Vallow Debo. That's what this is all about.
She's still slapping her hand on the counter and saying, doesn't count for me. She did that today. She did that today. I mean, I want to say literally, but it's not literally. So I'll look like an idiot if I say literally.
But she'd have to slap both of her hands on the counter.
Right.
Hey, you know what? When you see her, Joe, I want you to just like, you don't have to say nothing, but just bring your arms up and then part them.
Yep.
I'm just saying, it's the little things that are like, ha, 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 ha. You can't do it. You know, like, and I'm telling you, y'all, she made such a stink about not having her lip gloss because Charles stole her purse. And so everybody go buy a lip gloss, and just throughout, if you're going to be in the court hearing, during the trial, whip that shit out and just take it on your, I don't reapply it so many times, because those are the things that are hidden in plain sight, just like they like to do. And so just hit them with a little bit of their medicine is all I'm saying.
I'm actually get me some Jolly Ranchers and put those on my lips.
There you go. No, that's the spirit. Not a dark spirit, but that's the spirit.
Right. Did you have a video that you were looking at to share with us?
I did.
All right.
I literally just found it. I was like, come on, Kresha, you know you're going to need a video. The conversations I have with myself. Wow.
Jean, thank you. Jean just subbed up to my channel. Thank you, Jean. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Jean. Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that too. All right. I got to. Oh, wait. Might not be the right one.
Oh.
Hold on. Uh-oh. My Google Photos, they're always so... Let me share this one right now. This is... I don't even know what all is in here. I was trying to listen to it while you were talking, but I couldn't. But you'll hear JJ right here in the first 5 seconds.
Love you from my heart. Thank you.
Isn't that sweet?
So sweet.
I don't know what this video... I'll let it play. I love you.
Thank you.
On September 7th last year, a Ring doorbell captured 7-year-old JJ Vallow playing with a friend outside Lori Vallow's townhome in Rexburg. On September 23rd, JJ attended class at Kennedy Elementary. That is the last time he was seen alive. Police found JJ's remains on Chad Daybell's property in June. On the anniversary of his last sighting, family and community members remember the young boy. His older brother, Colby Ryan, released these photos of JJ, saying, quote, "To my JJ Boo, I love you, Bubby. I can't tell you how much I miss you. I miss your voice and your loving heart." He continues, "I will always want you to know, I always want you to know I love you, and you're in my heart today, tomorrow, and forever. I love you, JJ." Rexburg police officers took time out of their day to visit JJ's memorial site on Chad Daybell's property and pay their respects. Days ago, JJ's grandmother, Kay Woodcock, released this photo, saying, quote, "Our baby is surrounded by love and peace in God's presence. We cannot help but miss him." She adds, "It helps knowing he is with his dad, Tylee, and all our other beloved family. Thank you, Jesus, for giving him to us. The short time he was here, he was a blessing like no other."
I guess I'm gonna wear another hat.
Blessing. It's a word that is used a lot by those who know JJ. And it's something his brother highlighted in a video made for JJ's birthday in May.
I feel like that's one of your main spiritual gifts is just joy. You just walk into a room and just make people attracted to the light that you are. People see that you are just such a beautiful person, JJ. You just make people happy. And you've made me happy for a long time as your brother.
For KPVI News that works for you, I'm Kate Garner.
That's so sweet. I didn't even know I had that. Okay. That's how long ago I must have seen that.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Touching.
I'm looking for Tylee right now, but it's just being slow.
Yeah, I'm a little slow.
I had that little, I
sometimes.
had a 15-second clip that came up, but let me grab it. I have,
Hey, Divergent's in here. Hey, Divergent. Good
Hey,
to see you.
Divergent. Here we go. I have it in slow motion for some reason. I don't know why. I think it was so I could use it as B-roll somewhere, but so I'm going to turn the sound off. How about that? This is Ashlyn, Rind, and Tylee, Ashlyn, Ryan. Okay. All right. Let me turn this volume down. But they were just being silly little girls playing a game and just, they were being like giggly girls. I don't know how else to say it. Just kids. And it's good to see, Tylee act like a kid and be a kid instead of the horrible situations that she was put into that she should have never, ever been put into. And still, her mother to this day is putting her into some horrible situations.
That's one of the things that makes me the maddest about that interview.
It's bad. And here, where'd that go?
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know what I just did. Oh, it's white right now, as you can see. If you can see, I made it fleek out. It's like, girl, you got too much stuff. Hold on. I just don't know where everything went because there was one I saw and I was like, oh, let me go there. Anyways.
Are you finding it?
Mm-hmm. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There we go.
I mean, this wasn't, I don't even know what they're saying. Yeah, it's something I just made. That was at the Rexburg, whatever. I forget the name of the center. Pavilion or whatever. And same day they had the kids' memorials. Or what was it called? What do you call it? A vigil. And they did this for Charles and for Tammy. So I don't know. I just put it with that little thingy. But anyways, it's justice for Tylee, Charles, Tammy, JJ, and Joe. Yeah. And the Lord's favorite. I'm kidding. Anyways.
No, justice for her too. Absolutely justice for her too.
Just picking because this really is there's a picture of Lori and Charles, but you can cut it. I cut it and it fit perfect here. Pretty perfect. Actually, it's this right here.
Oh, wow.
The Lord's favorite. Don't you know? Just eliminate. There you go. The Lord's favorites. That's so gross. I mean, when do you wake up and you're like, oh my God, he is so sexy? You just don't. Nobody in this lifetime or this planet. I'll tell you that. Okay. But then I think about Tammy and I'm like, well, Tammy made him her husband. So, I don't want to like knock her down or anything, but he is just nasty. I can't like the dude at all. I can't. I've tried, and I'm just like, he's a nerd. He's a freaking nerd.
He's a goober.
He's a goober nerd. And he's sneaky and he's evil.
Mm-hmm. At least he got, go ahead.
I was just reading Gene P's comment. Oh, Kresha, can you refresh my memory about the video of the woman out in the snow in front of Lori's house? Was that Summer Shiflett, and why was she there in Rexburg? I think it was actually Audrey Baratero, but that's just me. The other one thinks that all the time, the other aunt. And I don't know. I just, because she was already there before, and she was hanging around often. I mean, she kept in Audrey kept in contact steadily with Chad, even maybe today. I have no idea, but she testified in 2 grand juries, and she actually would talk to Chad weekly while he was incarcerated. And this is the same girl that testified and had everybody buying into. And I mean, I get it, but I think it's just part of the coven. I think that she was just sealing the deal for Lori, saying, I mean, because anybody can be a revisionist like they are and create a story that's non-existent around the evidence, and around everybody's going to believe them, of course, like they did. Audrey was like, Lori said she was going to cut me up and there would be bleach and trash bags or whatever the frick she said. And I mean, again, I think that was just a big story by Audrey Baratero, who was an herbologist and worked for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But what do I know? I'm just here.
Well, revisionism is the ultimate narcissist tool, because when you have an argument with a narcissist, you will say, speaking about a past encounter with them, well, you told me this. And they will turn around and say, no, I didn't. I didn't say
like
that.
Gaslighting too. It's
yeah,
totally. I really feel this is what happened with Melanie Gibb and David Warwick. I think they constructed their story around whatever they needed. I mean, anybody can say anything at that point because nobody was saying nothing. And because the cops were on to Melanie Gibb and she finally had the freaking, buckle because her ass was in trouble. I mean, the FBI was actually surveilling her house. And so she had to come up with something. And that's why we see her or hear her audio with that woman, Sherry Dowdle. I think that Melanie Gibb was practicing her story with Sherry.
In the interviews, in the two-part interview that she had with Nadie Eaton, and the brief interview that she had with on Dateline for Lori's, I just look in her eyes and I see lying eyes. I can't help it.
But barely. She does it also without really even hiccuping.
Yeah.
That's also very freaking, that's alarming.
It's next level. It is next level.
Next level. Very next level.
It's not Lori level, but it is next level.
It's depraved, and that goes right in line with everything else, in my opinion. I don't know. These people are just sick. Yeah. I believe that they are just, this is what they do. They cover for each other. I mean, we saw that with Lori sending Chad a fake email from my uncle saying, hey, I want you to write a book for me. She was just trying to provide a cover. She also had Zalema provide a cover so that Chad could go meet them while Zalema was there and have a story to tell Tammy. And also in the FOIA docs, there's another little, and I got to kind of look at this a little more because it kind of caught my attention later, just recently, I guess you could say. And because I found this section in the FOIA docs where the FBI and Chandler police did interview Jason Mao after that. And I'm like, that's pretty profound. The whole FBI came to your house, but that's not shared publicly. That's not like a widely known thing, so I actually, I read it and I'm editing that right now so I can, publish that and people can hear how that interview went according to the police. And, I mean, it's just it's just another piece of the puzzle that's people need to hear, I think. But there's this part where where Lori just meets Jason Mao in the temple her and Nicole Earl walk into the temple, and we heard Jason Mao say, and there she is. I knew she was a gatherer just like us, blah, blah, blah. And okay, so there's that aspect of it. And then here she is going into the temple, and then she's emailing Jason Mao, and she's like, yes, I heard you were like-minded people. It's very robotic. It's very like, what is going on here? What does this mean? And why are these women like inquiring and pleading? Okay. And to be like, to become a temple recommend holder, to get to the temple. And then it's like, it's almost like, it gives me the vibes of like hiring a hitman. Like, I feel like that's maybe what she was doing. But I'm crazy. That makes me crazy. But that's really what it sounds like. A referral service.
I don't think we're the ones that are crazy. Just saying. I really don't.
I'm being facetious, of course.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I mean, it's like it really, and I mean, that's not the only place. I see this all over the place, with the angels and I'm like, okay, so they think they're the angels. It's like different. How did I say this before? Okay. It's like you have different groups, and this is group A, group B, group C, group D. Anyways, they all do their own job, but they work together to make this one big thing. Okay, so I feel like the angels are this one group, and then the translated beings are this other group, and then they have, I'm just using their names or whatever, their little titles, and then the gatherers are over here. And then it's so I'm just trying to figure that out. It's crazy. I know it's crazy, but it's just something bigger going on here. And I'm just trying to put my finger on it.
And we're just trying to dive into it.
That's it. I mean, it's all I can do. It's kind of what I swore I would do. I promised my Uncle Charles that I would not stop until everyone, and I wasn't being realistic when I made this vow, but I wouldn't stop until everyone with my family's blood on their hands was exposed. Or held accountable is what I said, but kind of I'm trying to be realistic too.
Right, because you and we can work on exposing it, but we're not responsible. We're not empowered. I'm never going to have them in jail to hold them accountable. Like, I mean, we could go dig up the biggest scoop tomorrow, and Melanie Gibb and Jason Mao could wind up in jail, but it's up to the legal system after that to actually, quote unquote, hold them accountable. And
they've already let them slide through their fingers before and handled them with the kid gloves. I don't know why I said white gloves, but Michael Jackson, white glove, you get it? Ha ha ha.
White glove, one white glove.
Yeah. Anyways, they're just, it is, life has a way of bringing things full circle, and I just trust in that. So
we have to, and we have to hold justice for JJ and Tylee and your uncle and Joe.
I feel yes, but we've got to finish the Pace Memo next time, or at least get a couple more pages.
Right. Okay. Let's do that.
I mean, I don't. It's like when I feel like I have to hold myself to a certain thing, I'm uninterested. I'm just like,
let's get it done next time.
Yeah. I overwhelm myself.
Part 4 is it, guys. Next time, part 4 is it. I promise.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Part 4 is it. And then we have to get into the Underground Railroad. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, and tomorrow, So tomorrow I have an interview with an investigative journalist named Lauren Conlon, and she is exactly what I've been looking for. Because I mean, she's digging, but she's been digging into the Hamblin case, and not the Lori or Jody Hildebrandt or none of these other people's aspect. And she's like, when we talked last week, we were like at the same conclusion, and that was really cool because I don't know her. She don't know the case. At that time, she didn't for sure. But I was just like, oh my God, how validating is that? That, something more is going on here. What the hell?
Nice.
And yeah, that was really, really validating. So I do have that in the morning.
Nice. I dropped your link in my chat. So
Thank
everybody
you.
make sure you go sub up and check out that tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
That's going to be.
I appreciate y'all. And I appreciate you. You keep me in line here. And you ask good questions. You do. You ask good questions. And that's kind of how this has needed to I needed this. I needed someone who would ask me questions who, I mean.
I care about finding justice for JJ and Tylee and your uncle and Joe. But I also have an inquisitive mind that's like, let's drill down into this and let's figure it out together.
It's awesome, though. I mean, that's how I needed this. So you're just the right person. Or victim. I'm kidding.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thanks, Kresha, for jumping on with us. And we've been going for 3.25 hours.
I know, man.
Next time we wrap up the Pace Memo one way or another.
Allegedly.
All right.
Just allegedly. All right. Bye, guys.
No. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening.
Love always wins.
Love always wins.
You guys are proof. You guys are proof. Bye.
See you soon, my lovely friends. Have a good afternoon. Don't forget to stop back by and see me real soon. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try.